Yeah, I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They've been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been higher than a drone, but still low-key. We've been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat. Yo, grew my hair and took the grill out. Think it's time to put it back in. Trying to get into that big house, turn the crib into the mansion. Needed something with that big bounce. You know I had to hit Jackson. Aaron Rodgers with the quick routes. How with the gang we packing? We on the field at Lambo. Mike Peel in a Lambo. Running drills in my camo. They know what the M stand for. Still got fam in Hawaii, yeah. Couple fans in the lobby, yeah. Couple grand in my pocket, yeah. Couple grams of wasabi, yeah. Eye it up, no glasses. Light it up, no matches. Wife it up, no ratchets. Might turn my wife to an actress. And we gon' make a movie, no Kim K. Give a fuck about what your friends say. I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They've been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been higher than a drone, but still low-key. We've been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat.
I'm just sticking to the code, I keep it so G. She asked me what I smoke, I'm smoking OG. I don't fool with too many, only catch me 4 deep. Gotta stay away from snakes, swear these people so creep. I've been grinding for a minute, many labels so sleep. These rappers drop a song, be hot for about a week. I put Gucci on my toes, I keep some cold feet. I ain't paying for no hoes, you niggas know me. I'm about to body the beat. I keep me a hottie with me. She wanna for a fee. Give me that for free. Keep me some money on me. Smoking the gas key. You with me, sheesh. Bonito, cheap, Keith.
I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They've been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been higher than a drone, but still low-key. We've been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat.
Yeah, head up in the clouds, thought they saying I look stressed. I've been feeling down, pray to God that I'm up next. Remember when she blew me off, that's why I can't text. Now she call me petty, but I swear I can't forget. This ain't a test, now they saying that I ball like Jerry West. Coming back for what is mine, can't take no less. I said go and take a shot, so I need your best. And stop the threat, so nobody's into me. I don't got time, I'm not giving the energy. Too many people around me, I'm finicky. I do not mess with you, dog, you're not kidding me. You don't got way too close. I've been up at the top now, so they all wait for the landslide. I seen too many people that switched up, whose man's high. Through it all, I stay the same, I swear to God, I can't lie. Been down so damn low that I came up for my life. They talk way too much on the internet, it's not real life. I swear my fam waiting, I can't lose and I'm still right. Still right, I swear that I'm working, I'm up till like midnight. It's real life, I got a time and I'm coming to get mine. In time, I cannot lose and I'm coming right inside. I'm in my, yeah. Phone started jumping, what a day. Swear to God I need it, now I can't afford to wait. I just had a fan hit me up from Kuwait. Told him this would happen, now we not a minute late. Seen him down bad, now they tryna hate. Same ones try to hit me for the raise. Got a mail, now they coming with a blaze. Check the numbers, fam, I swear I'm getting paid. I'm a Don just like the Perrier. It's one time when I'm looking at a face. On the low like I'm pushing up the bass. a check and I bought myself a place. They get some money and they blow it on bait. I don't flex, but I'm pushing all the weight. Told them all, I swear I got it's what it takes. Phone started jumping, what a day. Swear to God I need it now, I can't afford to wait. I just had a fan hit me up from Kuwait. Told him this would happen and we not a minute late.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on a roll, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like. Yeah, you about to see me on demand like. You know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't never going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the roll, here we go. Yeah, at the top of the class on a roll. Ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the roll, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the roll, here we go. Yeah, at the top of the class on a roll. Ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the roll, here we go. Here we go. On a roll, here we go.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Frankie Candles live stream every single weekday right here at 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And Mafia, oh my God, we got Ethereum ripping its way through its macro volume profile, which we have been looking at the possibility of that happening for quite some time here. And I know it takes a little bit of time to get those moves through the profile, but here we are sitting on Ethereum at about 33.81. We had those macro targets to the upside. We came up to the first one. We came up to the second one. And the question is, can we make it up to that final target? We got Bitcoin getting a little bit of a continuation to the upside. Or not a continuation up, but a little retracement back to the upside that we looked at yesterday. Coming into the golden pocket, sitting at about 119.7 all the way up to about 120,700. And I am still holding that long position. That wound up playing out pretty well. So I will show those trades in just a minute. But the question is, are we going to get the retracement here on Bitcoin? We have dominance absolutely tanking. Is alt season around the corner, guys? Well, we took a look at Total 3 and Bitcoin dominance yesterday. I talked about why I would be anticipating a move up on altcoins. And here we are with Ethereum starting to wake up or continuing to wake up. We got Solana on the move. Woo, baby! We are, in my opinion, guys, this is the final leg of the bull market. We've been talking about this, entering that final stage where the altcoins will finally run. We have the rate cuts coming down the line, and it does seem that we are right on time here. So we got a lot to talk about on the charts today. So shout out to the CandleMafia. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate every single one of you. you. We got the king of Bitcoin in the chat saying LFG Frankie. Shout out to the king of Bitcoin. Welcome in. We got Servando Estrada in the chat. What is going on, man? We got Mr. New Creation said smash that like button. Don't forget to smash the like button, guys. If you appreciate this free daily TA and we've helped you predict any of these moves, please go ahead and smash that like button. Push us out into the YouTube algorithm. We got Base Bailey in the chat said ETH to 10K, right, Frankie? Shout out to Base Bailey. I'll take a look at some of those upper targets. We do have some Fibonacci extensions up in that $10,000 zone. Can I guarantee we get up there? No, but I will show you guys those targets to the upside. And it's really funny, guys. As soon as they start saying ETH is dead, we're sitting down there. I forget exactly how low we went. We were sitting all the way down there at about $1,400, talking about, you know, unless you think ETH is going to zero, I don't know how much lower you want it to go. And here we are, getting that rip through the upper profile. And guys, shout out to the volume profiles. If seeing Ethereum rip through the profile is not giving you a reason to pay attention to the volume profiles, or at least learn how to use them, which we teach for free here on the YouTube channel, check out the beginner series. I don't know what will. So super crazy stuff happening right now. So we're going to cover everything. I'll cover the key levels on Bitcoin, the local levels. Are we going to get the pullback on Bitcoin? We'll cover dominance, total 3. We'll take a look at the altcoins. We got some stuff starting to move pretty aggressively, but we still have some other stuff that's lagging a little bit behind. So we'll take a look at everything. Let's see. We got John Santos in the chat. What is going on? He says, Franksburg, these alts are money printers now. Shout out to John Santos. Let's go, baby. They said no alt season. I'm not saying alt season is like right now. But like I said, guys, I think we are on the cusp of those rate cuts and potentially seeing this cycle play out very similarly to what we've seen in the past. I'm going to walk you guys through everything. We got K Diggity in the chat. Phoebe says hi, bro. Shout out to K Diggity. Welcome in. We got Manuel in the chat said Turbo is flying tomorrow. Shout out to Manuel making that prediction on Turbo tomorrow. We'll take a look at Turbo maybe. We got Kaido in the chat says new all-time high. Let's go. Shout out to Kaido. You literally just made me look at the ticker here. I was like, Bitcoin, new all-time high? What the heck is going on? But yeah, we'll take a look at that. Let's see. CRV is ripping. Yeah, we're going to take a look at CRV. We have a few things that have gotten pretty big moves up. XRP, I just trimmed off the top for Mexico this weekend. Let's go. Shout out to Baby Genius putting those funds to work. Let's go. Don't forget, guys, obviously, I would expect XRP to keep going up. But if you don't take profits, right, what is the point of making money if you don't, put it in your pocket and spend it on something that you enjoy doing? So shout out to you, man. But without further ado, guys, show the mod some love in the chat. We got Rob the Crypto Snob, Tyler Durden, Crypto Billy, Crypto Anon, Chemistry Bro. You guys know who they are. Captain Kirk. Show them some love in the chat. And yeah, without further ado, I can't help but attract wealth and abundance. Shout out to Juan. That's what I like to hear, bro. But without further ado, guys, we got a lot to look at on the altcoins. So let's go ahead and jump on into the charts. Let's get into it. Oh, baby. Guys, I can't explain to you guys how excited I am, not only to see Bitcoin, obviously continuing to rip to the upside here. Obviously we didn't make a new all-time high yet. But, Bitcoin's at 120K pretty much, right? We got the altcoins flying. Ethereum is indeed not dead just yet. Seeing this stuff move, guys, is not only great to see, if you've been in this market all the way back since the bear market, it is so nice to see this thing absolutely move, especially the altcoins as well. I know the altcoins have been absolutely brutal this cycle. But like I always say, guys, patience is key. When people jump into crypto, they want to buy in. A lot of people bought in December, expected to get rich overnight. And I know it could get brutal on those drops to the downside. But if you understand the cycles, if you understand the charts like we do, you can really have those patience and wait for those moves to happen. And, Ethereum's a perfect example of that, just to kind of give you a sneak peek here into ETH. Obviously, we were looking at our macro target sitting, not this one right here, but we did have our macro target sitting between 3,000 and 3,150, which we did come up and interact with just slightly. And then once we broke above there, we were looking at another key level, which I'll bring up in just a second. But I do just want to show you guys this 2021 volume profile. This is what we looked at ever since everybody was saying ETH was dead. And we were talking about getting above this value area low, flipping it to support, and at that point you get above that POC. As long as you can remain within the profile, we are going to look for that fill of the volume profile. And it wasn't just the volume profile in the laws stating that once you get above that value area low, the next likely target would be the POC, and then you stay above the POC, the next likely target is that value area high. It was not just that, guys. It was also the 2-day money flow. This is where I bring you back here to about 2023, the last time we reclaimed that value area low. The 2-day money flow was crossed over into the green, and we got that fill of the profile. And guys, here we are, right? Like literally just repeating exactly what we saw in the past. And we know, when you get these quick rips up, quick drop down, quick rip up, quick drop down, once you wind up breaking these highs, you will have that kind of low volume gap that we like to look at when looking at the visible range volume profile. And, you have that high volume node down here. We start to stick to that. Once you break out, you fly through that low volume gap, and we are finding a little bit of turbulence on this node, but we are very comfortably and aggressively on our way to that value area high. I will say it once, I will say it a million times. Value area low, POC, value area high. This is the biggest cheat code in any trading that you could possibly do on any asset. This is the highest probability way to look at the market, in my own personal opinion, not just for looking for local trades within the range, but also calling for those macro moves. This is how we do it, Mafia, and we teach it every single weekday right here for free at 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But we'll jump into Ethereum in a minute, guys. I'm going to start off here on Bitcoin, as some people call it, Big Daddy Bitcoin. I don't know if anybody calls it that. But anyway, as you guys know, we were looking at this local volume profile. Yesterday, I was talking about that little scalp long that I was in from the value area low. I am still holding that position. I will bring it up right now. I'm also holding a little bit of a scalp short here, which is slightly underwater, but we'll see what happens with that. But you guys can see here, this trade from yesterday is now up about $2,800 here between the realized and unrealized profit. Not too shabby for a, I guess 24 hours of work or 24 hours of sitting there and watching the chart move. But not too bad, up a bit on that. And I am also holding my bigger swing long position from down here at about $108,000. I'm still holding that. It's up about $8,000. So I'm still holding that. We're catching that long to the upside. And we are approaching resistance here, guys. Now, just because I took that scalp position is not a trade signal. To be quite honest with you guys, we do have some mixed signs on Market Cipher B here. And I'm going to walk you through everything. Now, obviously, yesterday, as we push into that value area low, with some bullish divergences on the lower time frames, we did have some money flow coming up. We had a couple of signals looking for that bounce. We took that in the premium Discord. It was a setup that we had here. I'll go ahead and show you guys kind of what we do here in the premium, just letting everybody know exactly what we're seeing. We have that key level of support. We pushed down into it. We started seeing those bullish confirmations, looking for that to come up to the value area high, viewing it as a scalp. And I will hold a portion of this. Obviously, as I showed, I already have some profits locked in. But, as I always typically do, I will take profits within the profile, and then I will hold a portion of that trade in case it decides to run. And you guys can see here, maybe, do I have this marked off on the chart? I think I do, right? So this has run fully into that value area high, giving us the full play of that trade. And now we are trying to squeak up here. However, it is important to realize, guys, we are tapping into a little bit of resistance. And yesterday, what we were looking at was the idea of if we do come up and push into this Fibonacci retracement level, we can look for a potential rejection, right? And the reason for that, at least yesterday, honorable mention here, we also got above this anchored VWAP pulled from the top here from the all-time high. We swept on top of that, held it as support, and we continued up into these retracement levels. And here we are, right? We pulled those targets yesterday, and here we are sitting at them. But the question is, are we going to get the rejection here? Well, our thought process yesterday was the fact that we did actually have that red dot printing on the daily, and we also had our 90-minute money flow, which was coming to the downside, but we never got that crossover into the red. And to be honest, as that was happening, we weren't even tapping into these levels just yet. But, the idea here is well, hey, if that daily red dot was printing and we were able to come up into this resistance level and get that 90-minute and honorable mention here, the 80-minute money flow to cross over into the red, we could potentially look for a continuation of a little bit more of a correction here with a high, a low, a lower high, and potentially a lower low coming into some other key levels of support that we have down below. I will cover these. I'll go over this very quickly because not much has changed here as far as the key levels, and then we'll jump right into the altcoins. But again, this is just local resistance, guys. I would say if we are able to continue up here and we break above this 786, which does sit at about $120,786, this is not technically the line in the sand for new all-time highs. Typically, when I'm looking for those lines in the sand, which have played out on so many coins recently, hey, break this line in the sand at the 786, we're looking for a new high to be made, because that does invalidate, once you break that full 786, it invalidates the idea of a lower high coming in, and it makes the higher probability a new all-time high. Now, technically, that line in the sand for me personally will be the full 786 retracement pulled from the all-time high all the way to this swing low. So if we do not reject this local retracement level that I have pulled from this little lower high here, if we get above there, really the last level to look at, in my opinion, is going to be that 786 sitting at $121,649. Once you get above this, that is where I would be looking for a very high probability break into new all-time highs. And to be quite honest, right, we got that daily red dot to confirm. The 90-minute never really crossed over into the red. And I'll show you some other things that I'm looking at on the lower time frames. But just to be aware, we are tapping into some resistance, so we might get a little bit of turbulence there. So just be aware. And then if we start cracking above this 786, I will simply be pulling that fib all the way to the all-time high, and then break that 786 at 121. What was it? 121.7, I think. Yeah, 121,670. Once you get above there, I will be looking for new all-time highs. I will stop out of my short position, but I am heavily hedged long, right? I'm holding multiple long positions. I'm just in this little scalp short position in case we do get a correction here. And when we look at this, right, we are actually tapping into the golden pocket daily horizontal confluence, and we do actually have a little bit of bearish divergences here, pushing in, getting those higher highs on price action with our lower highs on our momentum waves, giving us a little bit of a bearish divergence here. Fresh red dot here on the 45-minute. So, when we see these bear divs, sometimes you can get a little bit of a correction down. So just to kind of explain what I'm looking for in here. But here's the thing. Would I expect this, right? Like I would say in the worst case scenario, we're, longer term, guys, we're just looking for this. We got the initial breakout of our range here. I'll pull this real quick just to give you guys the context, right? We got that clean breakout of this range, and, there is still a possibility, right? I'm not saying that we can't just take off from here. This is definitely possible, and I am prepared holding my longs from lower and the scalp long that I took yesterday. But, in the worst case scenario, I would say, like, if we do get a bigger retracement, you get the initial breakout, maybe we cool off a little bit. The lowest I would like to go at this moment really would be between about $112,000 and $110,000. This is going to be a big level to watch, being that it is the structural highs that we made within our range here, as well as the value area high of our previous range. And this comes down to, actually, let me pull this out a little bit more. This value area high that I'm looking at is sitting at about 110, 109,000, technically 109,756. We do have a daily horizontal underneath there. Let me pull up some daily MPOCs. We have a daily MPOC in here. This is really the zone. I would say between about 112,000 and 109,656. That is the level that we really want to stay on top of, because if we are going to get a bigger correction here for a retest of the breakout before getting the real parabolic movement to happen, this would kind of be the lowest I would like to go. If we break back in here, you guys can see we have two daily MPOCs, another daily horizontal. We even have the POC of the range in confluence with the daily MPOC. So there is some support underneath that. But ideally, I would not like to break below that value area high. It just makes it a little bit of a stickier situation. Same level as yesterday, 112K to about 109.6 is going to be that big zone that we want to hold if we get the bigger cool off, right? And that would be in the case that we do put in a lower high here on those Fibonacci retracements. If not this local retracement, again, pulled from the actual all-time high, getting that rejection from about 121,670, right? So whether we get the lower high here, we're unsure exactly where that would come in. But if we do squeak up, this is technically that last level where you could put a lower high in to continue the drop to the downside. Now, if we do get that correction, it's obviously 112 to 109K is not the first level I'm watching. We do have a local level of support here with our gold, very important golden pocket, guys. This is a golden pocket pulled from this impulse that broke the all-time high all the way to the all-time high. We do have the golden pocket daily MPOC. So locally, this does sit at about 115,381 to 114.9. So again, we have that bigger level of support down at 112 to 109K. And then locally, we do have this golden pocket 786, which technically is a zone, but with the confluence on this daily MPOC, I would pay a little bit more attention to this. If we lose that golden pocket, looking down towards the 786. But long term, guys, whether we come down to the golden pocket, the 786, or if we come all the way down to that 112 to 109K zone, I am still bullish long term on Bitcoin. This is a very clear bullish breakout, and it does seem that our longer term thesis is pretty much directly spot on here, entering that final phase of the bull market to get Bitcoin to finally work itself out of this range, hopefully, if we get a retracement, hopefully we hold support, and then start that last final phase of the bull market, have Bitcoin come up, put in its all-time high. And you guys know, for the all-time high, I am looking between at least the first major target between about 130, I would say between about 130 to 137K. And then if we, if it does call for more upside, we'll look towards those upper targets. Honorable mention here, 155, 156K is that next Fibonacci extension. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. It is important to understand these levels are here. But, for the long-term kind of thesis here for Bitcoin, guys, like understanding that this drop down to this drop down to $75,000 was not a bear market. We never broke structure to the downside. And again, this is going to be something very similar that we look at, right? Like if we do get a bigger correction in here, we get the breakout of the range, the retest, and then a new all-time high. This could be something that we look for locally here. You break out of that local range that I just showed you, right? We have this local range right here. We get down, we come back for the retest, and then we send it back to the upside. So in the case of a bigger pullback, that is what I'm going to be expecting for the final phases of this bull market to come in, guys. Very exciting times. We are probably very close to the, the absolute mania of crypto. Crypto's in the news. Oh, my God, everybody's getting rich. Oh, no, the altcoins are flying, and we are going to get to the altcoins in a minute. But locally here, guys, these are the levels I'm looking at. Value area low sitting at 116.48. POC sitting at 117.842. And then, obviously, we are coming into this resistance zone. And then if we break down, you have the golden pocket at about 115K. Start breaking down lower. We can start looking down towards the bigger key level of support that I just brought up between 112 and 109K. Those are the key levels I'm looking at. If we start looking at some of these lower time frames, guys, this is where this short position, I'm always going to be interested in shorts, in a similar situation like this. But when we look at the higher time frames, right, looking at the 12-hour green dot looking to print, This low key, guys, this low key is a bit of a mixed signal, right? Because we do have low time frame bearish divergences, which could give us a little bit of a pullback, which, obviously we are getting a little turbulence up here. But when I look at that 12-hour green dot, if we're going to escape here without putting in this lower high anywhere up in these resistance levels for another drop down, we want this 12-hour green dot to print, and then we can obviously come on down to the 45-minute. You can see that 45-minute money flow is just crossed over into the green. This is not happening at the same time as that 12-hour green dot like we'd like to see, but it is very, very close, and this adds a little bit of like confusion here because it's not like the perfect market cipher B116 setup. You're also like fighting a bearish divergence, and in any case, I'm never looking for longs on a move to the upside. Like I just showed, my entry into the long was right down here, right? We want to enter as price is crashing into the longs, and then as price is pumping, really the only thing I can look for here is scalp shorts, right? And again, I am beautifully hedged in the long position, so if this stops out, I have no problem with that. The longs will continue to run and pay me out much more than I will lose on that short position, right? We don't have to be right every single time you take a trade. You can get stopped out. It's all about risk management, understanding that you can hedge your positions, and just understanding that you're going to be wrong sometimes, right? So, like, if I get stopped out here, no big deal. Longs will continue to play. And to be honest, if we push up even higher, there are some other setups that I'm looking at for potential short positions above. But other than that, we're long and strong here, baby. And the long-term sentiment here does seem to be right on time. So super, super beautiful here. I'm going to take a look at Bitcoin dominance. We'll take a look at Total 3, and we will continue to watch the Bitcoin price action here as it develops over the live stream. But obviously, guys, we are starting to see some things pop to the upside. Ethereum with the massive rip up. We have Solana also starting to get the big rip up. I'm going to cover Solana as well. We are at a very key level of resistance, but as you guys know, we were looking at very specific things on Solana here, looking at this kind of, not that I'm a pattern person, but like somewhat of a bottom structure forming here. A lot of people would call this somewhat of a head and shoulders, and the technical target there does bring us to about $187,000, which, as you guys know, when I bring up the actual Solana chart, you'll know how key of a resistance level that is and how that could be at $187,000, the doorway to much higher prices for Solana. Just right on time here, guys. The 2-day money flow crossovers that we've been looking at for weeks now, finally, we get that 2-day money flow crossover to work its way into the green, and you are expecting that continuation to the upside. So absolutely beautiful. I'm going to come in and check in on chat real quick, and then we'll jump into the altcoins here. Let's see. Bada boom. Shout out to Chris says, Mana, hopefully break that big volume gap. Shout out to Chris. Maybe we'll take a look at Mana for you. I was actually looking at it earlier today. It's weird that you say that because I don't really look at Mana that often, but I was looking at it earlier. Today's Rob's birthday. Yeah, shout out to Gary C. It is Rob's birthday, guys. Rob has a birthday every single day, 365 birthdays a year. So wish him a happy birthday. Drop some birthday cakes in the chat for our boy. Let's see. Shout out to Poe said, question, how much do you normally take out of a trade when you're in your TP1? What percentage, or is it not a stable percentage as it depends on the trade? Shout out to Pose. Yes, and yes. It does depend on each individual position, to be honest, right? If I push up into a key level of resistance and it is not looking bearish, right, and it looks like we're going to break through, maybe I take a little bit less profit. But inside a volume profile, just like I'll use this current trade that I took yesterday as an example, really within the volume profile, right? You enter the trade down here. I'll just pull up the actual position so you get an idea, right? You look to come down to the value area low. If you get that entry at the value area low, and Mrs. Candles coming on into the chat. Mrs. Candles, check this out. Mrs. Candles holds a lot of Ethereum. Check that out.
Wow, something good.
Go check your Coinbase. You're going to be very, very, very happy. Your boyfriend's not crazy. Your crazy internet money boyfriend is not crazy. Shout out to Mrs. Candles bringing us Aztec and Cactus Moss Water. Let's get that hand in here. We're pumping, baby. Come on. Give me the hand. Give me the hand. You say I'm crazy? Oh, wait, hang on. One more. Whew. Okay. All right. Anyway, let's continue on. Shout out to Mrs. Candles. I'm going to crack this Aztecian Cactus Moss Water. Are you just going to hang out here? Oh, you're tired. Well, Ethereum's not tired. Go check your Coinbase. It'll wake you up, I promise. You already checked it. Mrs. Candle's low-key a crypto degen. I'm not going to lie. She likes to hide it, but I think she's a degen. But anyway, let's continue on here, guys. Let's see. Okay, so for TPs, guys, for this individual of this specific trade here, right, typically within a volume profile, if I enter in at the value area low, POC is typically the first, obviously expected target. You guys can see we came up to that point of control. I'll mark it out here with a horizontal line, right? You come up to that POC. This is where you're expecting not only the first target to be, but also your first area of resistance, giving a little bit of a pullback. This is usually where I take a little bit off on the trade. I'll move my stop loss to break even, making it a guaranteed winning trade, meaning I've already put some money in my pocket. profit. My stop loss is at break even. Even if it stops me out, I get to keep my profit. And that is how you can get into a guaranteed winning trade, right? There's no indicator that can give you a guaranteed winning trade, but it really just comes down to your risk management. And you definitely can eventually turn your trades into guaranteed winners. But this is typically where I will take a percentage off. And then once we get above the POC, the next anticipated target is going to be that value area high and a potential deviation above. That would be TP2. And then at that point, I will take another partial TP. And then if I feel like it, right, if I think that we could continue up, to be honest, like oftentimes I will just always leave a little bit of a moon bag there in case it decides to run. But as far as percentage, this is somewhat personal. It is somewhat personal preference, right? Oftentimes I will take like 30% off, let the rest ride. But at the end of the day, right, like if you catch a nice trade here, you're happy with the money, you could close the whole trade at your first TP, right? But typically this is how I handle things. If you wanted to take 50 out at the POC and then close the rest of it at the value area high, that would kind of be like just trading it as a typical volume profile, getting in and out of your trade for a nice little day trade, pocket your money and walk away and come back to the charts tomorrow. But oftentimes I do like to let those winners run, right? Because although these volume profiles do rotate very often, at some point, right, this isn't like the cleanest volume profile, but at some point, right, you're either going to bing bong around here and break up, or you are going to break down. But oftentimes, whether it does break up or break down, I will be holding a position from the high of the range or the low of the range. And you might say to yourself, well, if you're expecting it to break down, aren't you going to lose the long position? Well, no, right? Because I've already taken multiple take profits, and I'll either stop out in profit or at break even, making money on the long, and then the short continues to pay you out. And, anytime I long or short a top or a bottom, I'm not very oftentimes saying, this is the low, I'm looking to go into new all-time highs, right? It's typically within the context of the local profile, and then when that winner runs, I do let them hit me by surprise. I typically go for singles and doubles, and then let those home runs and grand slams hit me by surprise. So there you go. Hopefully that helps you. Hopefully that helps you out, bro. Shout out to Pose. Let's see. Shout out to George. Let's get it. Appreciate the super chat, man. Thank you so much. He says, ETH is like your ex's house plant, technically dead, but somehow still growing and thriving every time you check back. Shout out to George, baby. Let's go. Thank you for that super chat, bro. I appreciate you. And let's see. Shout out to Alpha Cry, thank you for the super chat. Said, bro, can you check out M87? I will go ahead and write this down. I will try to take a look at that if I could find a chart. Thank you for the super chat. And yes, I will try to take a look at M87. And just to remind you guys, super chats are not guaranteed that we're going to be able to take a look at your altcoin. Obviously, that would be impossible. We would just get a million super chats, and it would be impossible. We'd have to sit here literally for like 24 hours, which, I mean, hey, I wouldn't mind that. But I do have to eat dinner with Mrs. Candle sometimes. But let's continue on here. Let's see. Shout out to F in Dollars, bro. Thank you for the super chat. Said, joining your Discord, hope to learn from you. MCB and fixed range volume profiles, etc. I've only traded the stock market with options. Don't mind crypto. I hold Bitcoin since 25K. Let's go, F in Dollars, bro. You're already winning. You hold Bitcoin for 25K, bro. You're already winning, but we're happy to have you in the kitchen, bro. I think you will learn. I hope you do. If it goes anything like anyone else in the premium Discord, you should be able to learn a thing or two and improve yourself as a trader. Do I think alts will top out at the same time as BTC? Sometimes they will run a little bit later, but it is not very shortly after that they top, right? You typically have like, maybe we'll take a look at a chart and try to time it out, but sometimes they will run a little bit later than Bitcoin, but we'll have to keep an eye on the charts, right? Like anything can change, but typically you will see them sometimes run a little bit later than Bitcoin. Let's see. Okay, so let's continue on here, guys. I'm going to cover Ethereum real quick because this is the star of the show today. Ethereum getting the absolute rip to the upside. And just to walk you guys through, as I talked about in the beginning of the stream, once you get above that value area low, this is where we were saying like, can we go lower? Sure, but it's like unless you think Ethereum's going to zero, if you don't hold ETH, if you don't think it's going to zero, I don't know how much lower you would really want it to go, right? And then if we were to get the pop to the upside, we had the clear doorway to higher prices. We did not mark this out today or yesterday. We've had this on the chart ever since 2024 and 2023 back here. Same exact theory here, right? Like the market just repeats itself if you re-enter the volume profile. You get above 2-day money flow crossover into the green. You look for that fulfill the profile, and then you come back in. You go back to the PLC, back to the low, back to the high, deviation, back in, back to the low, deviation, back in, back to the high. That's kind of how I always say it, right? Like, hey guys, you have the 2-day money flow crossover. Very, very similar situation that we had right here. And, based off the volume profiles, this is exactly what you would expect. And this is exactly what we ended up getting, which is super, super nice. And I'm going to pull up some other volume profiles. You guys know we had our first target here, which was the golden pocket retracement, where we had a daily MPOC between about 3,000 and 3,150. This is the target that we talked about, the first major macro target. We came up to 3,000. We pushed into the golden pocket at about 3,150. And then once you break above there, this is what we looked at yesterday. Excuse me. We did have I believe it's a weekly MPOC here. Let me pull this up real quick. Oh no, maybe it's a daily MPOC. Where's it at? Daily MPOCs. Am I blind? There they are. Was it a daily horizontal? Hang on one sec here, guys. Let me pull up some of this stuff. It might have been this daily MPOC. We might have actually just pushed above it. Yeah, so we had these two daily MPOCs sitting between about 32.58 and about 33.49. But at the end of the day, guys, right, this is just kind of like intermediary resistance. When we hide these, right, the next major target within this, not only the profile, but also based off the golden pocket 786 retracement is, well, hey, not only are we long-term, or I mean, I guess we're kind of already there, but, long-term, we were thinking, hey, you could probably get to fulfill this volume profile based off money flow and how the volume profiles behave, right, getting those full rotations. But once you break above this golden pocket, obviously, once you get above the POC, you're expecting the value area high. You know that this golden pocket could be intermediary resistance. We did get a little bit of a cling there. But once you get above the golden pocket, you're going to be anticipating the 786, which sits right on that next macro target at the value area high at about 35, 38. And we are just about there, guys. We are literally, just about to tap this level. So, technically the next target to the upside still remains the value area high, right? Maybe you get some turbulence there. But once we get above that, guys, we can really start to look at some of our next like big targets where we do have a Fibonacci extension sitting just near the all-time high from 2021 at about 47.51. But if I'm talking about like macro bull market targets for Ethereum, I would be looking at the Fibonacci extension pulled from the bull market high in 2021 to the 2022 bear market low, and then I will go ahead and pull up those Fibonacci extensions. And if we zoom out here, you guys can see the next major bull market target once we start putting in new all-time highs is going to be sitting right up here at about 57.61. Above that, we have another extension level at about 65.20, and then we could cruise up into about 73.33. So this is going to be like a massive zone of resistance. We'll probably interact with these levels separately, but this is going to be the next major zone for the bull market highs. And then once we get above this is where you can start looking at that $10,000 level. I cannot guarantee that we are going to get up to that $10,000 level, right? We're going to have to see how price action reacts off our first major zone, and then if we can get above there and it looks bullish, well, we do have another massive target up there at about, call it 10K, right? 99.42. But again, I can't promise we're going to get up there. We'll have to reassess the price action as we push into resistance. But, we had our macro targets, 3,000 to 3,150. Check it off the list. Next one is getting very close, 35.30 at the value area high. Hopefully tomorrow or maybe sometime next week, we could check that off the list as well. Also worth understanding here, guys, you do have the macro 786 here, but we've already rejected that, so I wouldn't really be paying attention to these, so I'm actually going to take them off the chart, 618, 65, 786. So yeah, I would say at the end of the day here, guys, breaking out of that 786 value area high confluence at 35.30 is pretty much the doorway, right, to once you get out here, maybe you get some turbulence, but once you get the crank out of this range, right, that is where we can really look for the massive move up into those extension targets. So super exciting for Ethereum. I do hold quite a bit of Ethereum, so not gonna lie, right? When everyone is bearish saying Ethereum's never gonna pump, there's no alt season, I do start to, it does get into my head sometimes. I'm just like, dang, I hope they're wrong. The chart looks good, but I'm an agnostic trader. I'm never gonna tell someone if they think the opposite of what I think. I'm not, I'm always gonna take what people say. I don't care how much of an experienced trader you are, as long as you're talking about like actual information and legitimate technical analysis, and you're saying, hey, this looks like we have a target lower, I'm gonna at least take that into account, right? But very happy to see that we were correct on this, because that would have been pretty painful for me to see Ethereum continue down. So super exciting, guys. If you take anything away from this live stream, take away the volume profiles, guys. Value area low, POC, value area high. And it can be a very confusing, messy journey, but at the end of the day, you are going to look for that fulfill the range. And here we are. I know I sound crazy when we call for it, but yeah, 2-day money flow was a beautiful indication that that trend would continue up, and we were very likely to see the same exact thing that we have happen here. So absolutely amazing. Locally, again, we are approaching some resistance. We have some horizontals up here, but again, major target's going to be sitting up there. So don't be scared of any turbulence. I will still be anticipating that value area high at some point. And I think it is important to understand, like, you know, this was a long range before we actually wound up breaking out. About 60, 62 days of just like sideways consolidation, right? And we got the big scary drop. But again, like volume profiles are that safety net for the blueprint on price, right? You would say to yourself, like we were talking about on the live stream, right? As long as we don't lose this value area low, there's no reason to be looking down here, right? You're just going to be looking to remain inside the range and eventually fill that profile. So volume profiles will change your life, Mafia. I promise you that. All right, let's continue on here. Falling down the stairs, Ethereum even had a conscious rolling down. A concussion rolling down. Shout out to Vegas Club. Yeah, it was, brutal tumble here. But again, rate cuts coming down the line, guys. Like, this is just not a surprise. If you watch this channel, if you've been subbed for quite some time, this is what we've been expecting the entire time. Just remaining, strong in our stance on our longer-term thesis. This is my third crypto cycle. I'm not new to this asset class. Again, when you have everybody so scared, like back in April, right? This is, when everyone starts to get bearish, no alt season, the top is in, and you start looking at the charts, and you're like, well, hey, this looks like a good place to put in a higher low, or even here, a good place to put in a higher low and a continuation up, or even down here in April at 75K. When you understand the market structure, it is good to kind of be on the right side of those trades and just trust in that TA and see things play out. And it wasn't just the TA, right? It was also the 4-year cycle. It's also just the macroeconomic environment, right? Those rate cuts come in, those altcoins, that liquidity is going to find its way, as it always does, guys. It always repeats, right? The macroeconomic cycle completely repeats constantly, right? This drop on where we bottomed out in April reminds me a lot of the drop down that we had in March, right? And then everyone's scared, but like this was the best time to buy before a massive melt up. And it does look like we are in a very, very similar situation here. And obviously in 2021, Bitcoin and crypto had a massive, massive bull market. So it does look very, very, very similar. And this is a lot of the stuff that we were keeping our eye on. S&P making new all-time highs, NQ making new all-time highs. We had a lot of the tech stocks making new all-time highs, Coinbase making new all-time highs. The writing was on the walls. We not only on that, but also on Market Cypher and just the 4-year cycle, right? Everything is just perfectly lining up here. Oh, it's so beautiful, guys. But that's what we're looking at on Ethereum. Very nice to see those targets hit. So watch that value area high, and then we will reassess price action as it develops. But taking a look at Solana, which has finally gotten the pop to the upside here, guys. Obviously, as we've been looking at Solana, we've been looking at a very, very similar kind of situation here where we had this, as I brought up before earlier in the stream. We did have the kind of like weird, wonky head and shoulders type situation here. Again, I'm not a pattern trader, but what a head and shoulders is just a way to describe a bottom structure, right? But what I do use these for are technical targets, right? And when you pull this technical target from the neckline to the low, pull it to the breakout point, you do get that move up to about $187 to $188, right? And this is a very, very important level, because if you see this right up where that technical target brings you, pushes you directly into that upper volume profile. And just like we looked at here, again, not just from a random prediction here, right? We came down, we talked about this being the biggest level of support on the chart for Solana, golden pocket, value area low. We also had the monthly down here as well. And the reason this was so important, other than the fact that it was a value area low and typically where you want to start looking for long positions, is because, value area low, number one. Number two, golden pocket. If you're going to put in a low, a high, a higher low, and then eventually break that structure to the upside, as we have drawn this line 100 times, this is where you would hope to bounce, right from that golden pocket retracement. You would not want to lose the 786. We didn't even have to come and deal with that, but very, very nice place to bounce. You have the head and shoulders with the technical target inside this upper volume profile, and here we are starting to get the breakout, right? And we are pushing into some local resistance. Let me get these brushes off the chart real quick. Even locally here, you guys can see we have this daily MPOC that we were looking at. You kind of bing bong around at the value area high. You stick that daily MPOC, and you get that rip to the upside. Also accompanied by what? A 2-day money flow crossover into the green. You guys can find a trend here that it is not just one thing that I'm looking at. You're never going to see me jump on the chart and say, oh, green dot printing, we're going up, right? It's always a confluence of many, many things. Macroeconomic situation, the just higher time frame context of the chart, as well as money flow, market structure. All this stuff together is how you're going to be able to call these accurate moves, right? 2-day money flow crosses into the green. We know that is typically very bullish for altcoins, so you would anticipate the uptrend to continue. And here we are, not only anticipating the value area high, but once we're we're able to crack above this 786, guys, this is the full 786 pulled from the high to the low. So this is the line in the sand. Maybe we get some turbulence, but once you're able to get above this, that is the doorway into your value area high of the upper range. And just like when you approach this value area from the low and you say, hey, once you flip that low, you go to the POC, flip the POC, go to the high. Just like when you come back down, you look to hold the value area low, go to the POC, go to the value area high. It's the same thing up here, right? Once we break out here and we hold above that 786, this is the key level to flip. Once you hold about 183.91 as support, that next target for me personally is going to be the POC sitting at 216.90. And you could see that it's never going to be very easy to call the timing of things, right? You don't know if this is going to happen in the next week or so. It really depends on what the local price action wants to do. Maybe we just want a Lambo candle up here and send it. But if you get resistance, right, you could kind of bing bong around here, potentially retest the high. And then, it depends on, the lower time frames, how long we're going to take to get up there, right? But again, when we take a look at Bitcoin dominance, right, this is how we were able to avoid calling alt season every time that, I don't even know when people call for alt season, but I base it off the charts, right? And we have continued to see this Bitcoin dominance drop below the POC. This is major, guys. This is definitely a very, very good sign. We had the 786 target up here at about 66.21%. We got the top to come in here at about 66%. Pretty dang close, right? You don't always have to come up and tap that technical level, but this was the zone that we had the highest probability of getting a massive rejection. And then we had the support down below at the POC. We got the little bounce, and now we are breaking down below the POC. This is very, very nice to see, guys, because our next major target here at this point, sure, you could see some turbulence, but at the end of the day, we're right on track here with what we want for Bitcoin dominance, right? We're cruising down towards that value area low. This will also be a level of support, but eventually, when we get that daily money flow, which is also continuing to the downside here, guys, you can see this in all of its glory. Daily money flow coming out. This would indicate, right, at this point, not like in February, right? In February, we were coming up claiming support with money flow in the green. This is bearish for altcoins, right? You would not be expecting alt season in February. I know a lot of people were calling for that, but when you look at the chart, it's like, hey, you're reclaiming support, right? But now, if you see, we have daily money flow coming out. We are losing key support, right? So at this point, any bounce can be looked at as lackluster retracement for a continuation down. And once that money flow crosses over into the red, maybe you get support on the value area low, you bing bong around, but once we lose this range, guys, and that daily money flow finally stays in the red, that is where you're going to be anticipating the massive drop down on dominance and true alt season to start, right? Same situation that we saw here, and it's just very beautiful to see that, we're just continuing to get that dump. Very, very, very nice. Now, on top of that, total 3, which we have been checking in on for a while now, Total 3, same exact thing, but the opposite, right? You want to see the reclaim of that value area low, which has been labeled key here forever. Until we get back into this range, right, there's no reason to anticipate alt season, right? But what's happening, right? We're getting back. Bitcoin is approaching its value area low, potentially looking to lose its range, and Total 3 is reclaiming its value area to potentially fill it in full, which would be very good for altcoins. This is your doorway to higher prices on Total 3, and Bitcoin dominance is approaching its doorway to lower prices. Perfect storm here. Perfect storm here, guys. And then you just start to, layer this together with potential rate cuts incoming. If we get a surprise rate cut in July, it'll be even more perfect. But if not September, this is the macro cycle that we see happen constantly. This has always ended in a massive bull run for altcoins, as well as Bitcoin coming up into its last parabolic move for that final fireworks show. And again, I say this every time. I know it's not popular to say, but, a lot of people are going to think that we are just getting started here when we start going parabolic. We have been in a bull market for quite some time. This is the most exciting time of the bull market. However, it is typically when you see those altcoins start to fly, it has historically happened at the end of the cycle. So be aware, be on your toes. And if you're in the altcoins, right, be ready to take some money off the table as you start hitting your major targets. And we'll keep you updated every single step of the way, obviously, like we always do here on the Frank Candles YouTube channel. So let's see. Eugene Sky says, if ETH smokes 3.8K, then 4.1K next. But that's going to be too fast, too soon. Shout out to Eugene. Hey, the faster the better for me personally. Let's see. Shout out to Daniel, says, Frankie, unfortunately, I lost 90% of my account when I was on a short, and BTC broke 112K and went to 119. I am left with 1,000. Can I still make money after the bull market? I don't want to FOMO now. Well, shout out to Daniel. Here's the thing, right? Obviously, Bitcoin is in price discovery, basically, right? But as I've shown yesterday, right, a lot of the altcoins are still lagging behind a little bit, right? Like, obviously, Ethereum is going to lead the way for the altcoins, very likely, right? Then you start to see Solana start to pop, right? And then you're going to see the high cap altcoins start to move. Then that money floods down into the medium caps, down into the low caps, and then at the very end, you just start seeing like the true like bubble type behavior, where it's just like, last cycle was like NFTs and meme coins too, kind of. People are just like, oh my God, I have a picture of a monkey worth $1 million. And it's like, that is typically where the top is starting to come in. But you can see like a lot of these altcoins, if I take it off log, you can see here, right, like, a lot of altcoins still pretty low here, far off their all-time highs. So I would say there is still a ton of opportunity in the altcoins, right? Like, this thing hasn't even really started yet. But if it does, it could get very exciting very quickly. So still plenty of money to make here in the altcoin market. Just because Bitcoin's at all-time highs, right? I would never tell somebody this is a good price to buy Bitcoin at. Could you buy it here and then eventually it goes back up? Absolutely. But, it's just a total farce that this is like a good entry point, in my opinion, right? You want to be entering in on the fear, and if you start to feel the FOMO, and I love the fact that you're trying to avoid the FOMO, bro. This says a lot about like how far you'll make it in this game, because you can identify that you're feeling FOMO and you're like, wait, this isn't good, right? I had to learn that the hard way, right? It's like, oh, I'm starting to feel FOMO. Let me screw everything up and then have to learn from the mistake. It seems like you're kind of ahead of the game here, but just because Bitcoin's in all-time highs does not mean you don't have a ton of opportunity here in the altcoins, right? Like, tons of stuff is still very low here, right? Like Render, not even within its low upper profile here just yet, right? Like, it's like you still have this entire profile to rotate, and you're still off the all-time high. A lot of stuff here is still just super, super low. Obviously you have some stuff starting to move, Turbo starting to move. You have Bonk actually absolutely ripping. So you do have some stuff like starting to move, but these are just like the early movers, right? So yeah, and at the end of the day, in a bear market, if you're here on the Frankie Candles YouTube channel, we are not a slave to the bull markets, right? We make money on just like in the bull markets. The bear markets are just another bull run, right? Because we can short it on the way down. Obviously, the bull market's nice because you can long, short, and make money off your spot bags. But here, right, if you stick around and you learn how to trade and you really dedicate yourself to the craft of trading, there's no bad environment, right? Unless there's no volatility. That's the one bad environment, right? When it's just kind of flat, it's a little harder to trade. But as long as you have, whether it's up or down, you can make money. So, if you are new to crypto and, when this cycle's over, just understand you do not have to leave in the bear market. There is tons of money to be made. We traded this entire bear market, made a ton of money with the Mafia. And that's the beauty of being a trader, right? Like, all we need is ups and downs. We do not need the bull market, although the bull markets are very nice. So yeah, tons of opportunity in the altcoins, absolutely. But I will say this, brother, losing 90% on a trade, I know you're probably going to know what I'm going to say. Stop losses. You have to have an invalidation for your trade so you can get stopped out at a small loss, so to avoid losing that 90% of your account again. And hopefully learn, I'm sorry you had to learn that lesson, but hopefully you take that and you can fix those mistakes moving forward. Always have a stop loss. It's okay to accept that you're wrong and take a small loss rather than lose a ton of your account. I'm sure you feel that, so just remember that and try to fix it moving forward. So shout out to you, bro. You seem like you're on the right path. All right, let's continue on. ICP. We could try to take a look at ICP. We actually haven't looked at ICP in quite some time. But real quick, we took a look at Ethereum. We took a look at Solana. Let's jump into XRP real quick just to cover the big boys. And there we are. As you guys know, XRP absolutely just smashing every target we had, and it all starts with the volume profiles. You get above the low, you look for the rotation into the PLC, into the high. Once you break out of that value area, the next big level to look at, right? We were actually looking at the retracement levels yesterday. Let me actually pull it up over here, right? We have the golden pocket 786 key doorway to higher prices here on that 786, guys. This is going to be the level to break above and hold. If we can hold above this level, I do think you are going to see a bigger move to the upside. Now, with that being said, it is resistance, right? So if we wind up closing the daily candle down here, you could get some turbulence, right? If we do get corrections at this point, I do think we are in that phase of buy the dip. Not financial advice, right? Obviously, if we come down and it's not looking good, the price action is not looking good, right? I would not buy the dip or look for longs. But as of right now, just as a general statement here, any corrections are not going to scare me, right? I'm going to be looking for retests very similar to Bitcoin, right? You break out of that range. If we do come down, right, this would be like Bitcoin coming back down to 112K to retest the scene of the crime, right? Retest the scene of the crime before that big move up. So any retracements are going to be looked at as buy the dip scenarios. And it's not just the price action, right? It's also money flow, right? You have your 2-day money money flow crossing into the green. You can see your 2-day red dot is coming down, so that could give you a little turbulence. But again, that money flow is always going to indicate the longer-term trend, right? So even if you get the red dot and that money flow is staying in the green, you're going to be anticipating the overall trend to continue to the upside. So very, very nice here on XRP. And you guys know once we broke that 786, we were going to be looking up towards the next key level of resistance, which we just came up to tap between these two MPOCs. 2 daily MPOCs with our Fibonacci extension zone. So, we are tapping into some upper resistance as well. Once we get above this, right, we're going to be looking to take out that all-time high and push into our next extension target at about 352. And then once we eventually get that bigger breakout, that's where we could start looking at those bigger bull market targets for XRP, right? I am not in the camp that we are going to $500. I'm not in the camp that we're going to $10,000. Maybe one day, right? Maybe one day. But for this bull market, guys, I will say, just to kind of give you realistic price targets, let's get to bull market target number 1. Hopefully we can get up here to about $5.54. And then once you get up there, just keep in mind, guys, when XRP moves, she goes, right? And we pulled this fractal about 250,000 times recently on the live stream from back here in 2017. Where we're on the daily here, right? And we all know how XRP likes to move. Big rip up, little bull pennant, big rip up, massive, massive ranging action, right? It kind of just, this is the stuff that people hate about XRP. But again, we've shown this fractal a million times. Very, 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 very similar situation to what we're seeing right now, right? You get the leg up, you get that long-term consolidation, and these typically do end in very, very, very exciting moves to the upside. And again, this wouldn't just be like, oh, target $23, right? Obviously, that's not how this works. But again, this is just looking like we are repeating a very long-term range that is very likely to break out to the upside. So very, very nice to see. But just be careful. If you get pullbacks, right, we have those key levels to the downside that we'll be looking at. And obviously, I'm going to have to move this fib up a little bit. Biggest level, and biggest level for me personally would obviously be to retest the range high, right, where we do have the golden pocket retracement, and then just underneath that, if you can't hold this as support, where you have the daily MPOC and confluence, you would be looking down towards that 786 point of control, which is another acceptable place to get a bounce, in my opinion. So those are the lower levels. First zone sits between about 260 and 250. Second zone sits between about 243 and 239. So that is what I will be looking at on XRP. But basically, just going along to the plan here. Absolutely beautiful. All right, let's see here. Doge, we could try to take a look at Doge. Absolutely. Let's see here. Bada boom, bada bing. $750 Solana this year. Let me check it. I'll try to give you like an idea of like how realistic that could be, right? Let's just check those extension targets real quick. We'll pull it from the top of 2021 to the bear market low of 2022. So you do obviously have your first major extension zone here sitting between 317 and 413. Doesn't mean you have to top out there, right? But this would be the first major zone of resistance. This is similar to our Bitcoin major targets that we had. Obviously, first major target sitting here on Bitcoin. I'll just rough this out real quick, right? First major target sitting between, wasn't looking at 81, but $91 to $102,000. That's the first place where you get the turbulence, big pullback, and then now we are potentially working our way up into these higher targets. Again, same levels I looked at earlier in the stream, 137 to 155K. Right, so same thing on Solana here. I would just be looking at that as your first bull market target, and then if you can break out, you could push into about 577 to 664. Start breaking above that, you could start looking at about 915. But we will have other new extension levels locally to look at as price action pushes its way up. But I'm not gonna lie, guys, this is again 2-day money flow crossover. Any pullbacks will be looked at. We do have some extension zones up there, but again, if the top looks like it's coming in at 500, we're going to be looking for the top to come in either way, right? Just because we have a target up there does not mean that it's guaranteed to get hit. So always keep that in mind. Don't forget to smash that like button, guys. Did I scare anybody? Sometimes people are like, oh my god, bro, you just scared the heck out of me. Yeah, don't forget to smash that like button, guys. If we get 1,000 likes on tonight's live stream, I'll give away $200 in Solana on Friday's live stream. Let's say shout out to Steve. Shout out to Steve. Says, I'm up so much I can't stop singing. Let's go. Shout out to Steve. Let us know what you're singing, bro. But let's go ahead and dive in here to some of the other altcoins. I will take a look at, if you guys want to see some altcoins, drop them in the chat. Rob, let's do like 3 requests, and I will kind of freestyle a little bit while we're doing the poll. But let's take a quick look at ICP. Let me see here. Come on over to the alt charts. ICP. Okay, so ICP, as you guys, we actually have not looked at this in quite some time. But, even this fib pulse still very, very relevant, at least as we were coming down here. You pull from the low to the absolute high here. You have the golden pocket 786. This is the level that you absolutely needed to hold, right? As long as you can reclaim that 786 and hold it on a higher time frame, that is where you would look to bounce, get back into your value area low. POC is next. You can see you come back down to retest that point of control. So the next target here for ICP, if these moves up continue, would be about $6.10, right? Sitting at that value area high. And at the end of the day here, we are still inside of this like pretty low, meaning low down in price, not low volume, but pretty like low volume profile, right? So, again, this is still pretty far off of its, even its most recent pumps, right? Like 260% away from the top that we made here in 2024. So again, I know ETH is kind of ripping, right? I would never tell somebody like, oh, this is a great place to buy ETH, right? We try to say that as, when we're looking like, hey guys, I don't know how much lower you want to go here. If you don't have any ETH, not financial advice, but like it's get pretty enticing down here, different than buying up here. But when you take a look at something like ICP, right, you're still very, very far off the highs. So yeah, that's the local range that I would be looking at on ICP. Again, value area low sitting at about 40, and I could kind of get rid of this now. Didn't even have to play with that daily MPOC, so I'll just even keep that on the chart. But, we'll pull this new retracement. Let me see where this pops up. So yeah, I mean, like, I don't know if you're going to come all the way back down here, but like, still this zone right here would still be in some kind of like crazy drop to the downside. This would be a key zone of support to hold until you wind up losing that 786 down here. I would still be thinking, right, like hold the value area low, get it back above the POC, go to the high. But again, you're already above the low and you're already flipped that POC. So maybe you just kind of get turbulence up here before continuing up. That's the overall anticipation there for price action. Daily money flow crossing over into the green. Red dot printing, right? So a little turbulence is okay. But again, the overall trend, which money flow does indicate, right, would indicate that it would continue to the upside. 2-day money flow just starting to cross over into the green here, right? So again, like you see Ethereum's a little bit more developed into the green. We get the bigger move up, and this is the early signal here. We just got that 2-day money flow crossover. So, and again, just the fact that ETH is running typically leads the move for the altcoins. Could very well see ICP start to get the move up as well. And these would be the levels that I would be looking at. You do have a local volume profile sitting right up here. I'll just give you some upper levels to watch as well. Let me just grab this. Bada boom. You have your value area low, POC, value area high. So you do have your, once you wind up breaking out of here, the next big doorway to higher prices would be sitting right here. Right? Bada boom. Get above that value area low, sitting at about 755. You do have the point of control very, very in confluence there towards the bottom of the range, so I would look at that as a zone. Once you flip the POC at about $8, next target would be the value area high at 961. 961. That would be what I'm looking for. And again, Market Cypher B just, trailing along with all the other altcoins that have gotten the move to the upside. Shout out to Pennywise, said ICP, much clown love. Shout out to Pennywise. Let's go. Everybody's favorite clown, friendly clown at that. We at least think. We're not really 100% sure. He drops the balloons in chat sometimes, gets a little bit creepy. But shout out to Pennywise. Let's see. Shout out to Italy. Shout out to you, bro. It says Floki, Bonk, Pepe, Mudang. This is how you get rich fast. I didn't say that. Italy said that. Italy said that. Italy, we like to call them. But yeah, we'll take a look at Bonk. Bonk absolutely getting a move to the upside here. Audio is choppy. This is the second time we've seen this week. But a lot of other people say that it sounds fair. It sounds good. Yo, shout out to My Passive Freedom, said many bearish people still good for explosiveness. Short it, baby. Squeeze us up. And again, guys, obviously my long-term bias has remained exactly the same. But I do just want to I always have to say this. Turbulence is likely, right? Like we come down a little bit, maybe we're at 112K, right? Like my longer term sentiment remains exactly the same. And we do have some time, right? If we don't get the rate cuts in July and we get them in September, there is still some time to get some kind of turbulence here, but you do want to be on your toes, right? Because if you get the early rate cut or, even if you don't get the early rate cut, right? As far as the 2-day money flow, this is typically a good sign for altcoins. So you do just want to be on your toes right now for sure. Let's see. Nothing wrong with the audio. They have to reload the stream. Okay. Shout out to Jesse. Never mind, all good. That now. Shout out to Henny. Let's get it, baby. Let's get it. Shout out to Impeachable Ant. Can you impeach ants? I didn't know that. Shout out to you, man. Says Beam or Tia, please. Yes. Let's take a quick look at PDR says, I guess Tony pinned this chat. Do you have a price prediction on TRX? I could try to take a look at TRX and try to find some upper targets for you. How high can Bonk go? We'll try to take a look at that. Dump first, question mark. Shout out to Taragato. Shout out to you, man. Yeah, I mean, listen, like we do have the 2-day red dot looking to print here. Again, like I have taken that little scalp short up here. But again, like as far as I'm going to kind of focus on long term here, just get everybody kind of prepared. Again, like I'm going to be looking long term for higher lows and higher highs, right? For the continuation of that trend based off 2-day money flow, right? Doge will be king. Shout out to Ishan. Let's get it. All right, so let's jump into some of these other. Funny enough, that was an accidental pin. Shout out to Tony D. Okay, I'll try to take a look at TRX either way. But yeah, did we get the alt list? Did we get the requests in? If they are, Tony, if you could pin the chat, I would appreciate you. But yeah, let's continue on here. So I will take a quick look. Let's jump into Tia real quick. That's not Tia. Where's Tia? How's Pangu doing? Pangu's still sitting at the POC from yesterday. Tia. I mean, she's trying, right? She's at this $1.36 fib extension level, right? We're back above this key level of support. I would still be looking at the same thing here. Nothing really too new to talk about here on TIA. This is the, if we continue up, like the next target I will be looking at is the value area low fib confluence here between about 296 and 261. And then again, like really to see a sign of strength here on TIA, I really want to see like a break above this zone, 786 POC. Like once we get up in here and flip this point of control, like and start to approach this upper value area, sitting at about 448, like this would start to look pretty good to me. But I'm not gonna lie here, maybe if you do come up to this resistance, right? Maybe you get a nice little head and shoulders, right? Not that I would trade just based off of that, right? But that could be a sign that you are gonna crack up, break that structure, and start continuing to the upside. So you do have resistance above. The key resistance level, Fibonacci retracement, value area low, is going to be sitting right here, again, between 296 and 261. Really, the POC is a big level as well, right? You kind of want to crack these highs here. Point of control, key level to break, 318. That will likely send you into about 366. And then who knows what happens. We'll have to reassess the situation. Maybe you bing-bong around here a little bit, right? But eventually you want to work your way up towards that 440 level. But again, if you believe in TIA as a project, right, like still massively off of its all-time high here. You know, about 943% from its all-time high. And that's not assuming that it's going to, that's without assuming it's going to put in new all-time highs. So there you go. As far as market cipher B goes, 2-day money flow still chopping around here. I'm not going to lie. All right, like it's trying to curve up here. That 2-day VWAP is coming down, so you might still have some turbulence. But still, like just that major signal that we've been watching on the altcoins, 2-day money flow crossover is likely going to indicate the continuation of that uptrend. So you just got to kind of have to be patient here. But yeah, hopefully we can get a move here on TIA very, very soon. Let's see, Ondo. Let's jump into Ondo real quick. Bada boom. Where's Ondo at? Where's she at? I have Ondo here somewhere, guys. I swear. There it is. All right, so let's take a look at Ondo. Again, take anything away from this stream, guys. Volume profiles. Dip into the low. POC is next. Again, like major target to the upside. Very simply going to be $1.22 sitting here at the value area high. That's what I would look at. 2-day money flow crossover into the green looks good. Key support down below is I will just give you the volume profile levels. I'm not going to bring up every nitty-gritty level, but if we do get that retracement down, point of control is going to be the biggest key level to hold. And then, as long as you stay above that point of control for the most part, you could play around with it a little bit. But as long as you're within the profile, guys, you are going to be expecting that fulfilled range. Very similar to Ethereum, right? Very similar to Solana, filling its volume profile, right? Very, 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 very similar. We're just a little bit further behind here. You do have the 2-day money flow crossover into the green. So pull, 2-day red dot might print. Daily red dot got instantly invalidated by a green dot. Daily money flow crossover into the green as well, right? So whether you're looking at the daily or the 2-day, right, any pullback is going to be looked at as lackluster for continuations up through the profile. Now, if I do pull, I will pull one fib here, pull it from the high to the low, or the low to the high, rather. Actually, let me come on to a 4-hour time frame. I'm going to pull this from the impulse here. So, yeah, I mean, this POC zone is going to be your first major key level of support. Right? So if you do get the correction, you're hoping to hold above that POC and not break the 786. Even if you break this 786, I wouldn't expect it to go like to zero or anything. You're still within the profile, and you do have lower fib levels to watch. But, I mean, looking pretty nice, right? You got the full rotation of the range down, played around a little bit here, finally held it. I mean, I think the fill is very likely, right? In my own personal opinion, not financial advice, right? But again, we're just going along with what we looked at on a lot of the other stuff that's already filled its profiles. So there you go. Let's see. Shout out to Mortimer. Says, smash the likes, baby. 1,000 likes, guys. $200 in Solana on Friday's live stream, going to one lucky CandleMafia member. And we will also be giving away 10 smaller bags of Cardano to 10 lucky CandleMafia winners. Make it 11 Mafia winners this week, guys. Let's see. Okay, thank you for that, Tony. Ondo, AVAX, INJ, TRX, and Tau. Okay. So that is what I'd be looking at on Ondo. And again, just looking at the 2-day money flow crossover here, guys. This is the sign that we've been looking at on a lot of stuff, and this is just starting to get going. So there you go. That's what I would look at on Ondo. Shout out to Austin. Says, hey, yo, welcome in, bro. Welcome in. Shout out to Debuta Beats. Shout out to you, man. Said, how's your chart looking on Loop Ring? I'll try to write Loop Ring down here. Try to cover as many altcoins as I can. Tony, can you open up Q&A and ask people? I'm going to do some altcoin videos, right, where I'm going to dive deep into altcoins. Maybe I'll do, like, I don't know, I might make, like, some of them, like, standalone, like, XRP update, Cardano update, and just do, like, a full pre-recorded video looking at the charts and updating the charts on altcoins. And then maybe I'll do some that's, like, 3 altcoins that I'm watching or whatever. But, Tony, if you could drop a Q&A and ask people to drop in the altcoins that they want to see, and then we'll take, like, the most requested ones, and I'll start off with those videos. All right, let's continue on here. Taking a look at, we took a look at Ondo. AVAX, we took a look at yesterday, so let's jump in there real quick and check in on it. So AVAX, let me come on down to the 1 hour so I can try to figure out where we were yesterday. It was the 15th, right about here, right? Like right about here is where we were yesterday as we were approaching key resistance. Here's your doorway to higher prices being that 786. You're already above the value area low. You could see how you come up, you play around with it, flip it to support, continue up to where? Where is that next level within the profile? Next highest probability target is going to be that point of control. You come up to the point of control, you stick to it a little bit. Well, once you hold above that 786, you look for that bigger push up and a break of this high. Right? When you pull this from the high to the low, right, that 786 is the line in the sand. Once you get above that 786, you're looking for a break of structure to the upside, which we are starting to get right now. So this would indicate the continuation of the trend through the profile. You go from the low to the POC, flip the POC. The next macro target here, or larger target for AVAX, in my opinion, would be sitting up here towards this high volume node at about 2611. And this would, you have 2 high volume nodes here. You have somewhat of a capital B-shaped profile. I guess this would be more like a W-shaped profile or an M-shaped profile. But, these are intermediary levels. We're already, like, this whole zone here between the value area low, this 786 POC, this is the level that you want to hold, right? If you could stay above this, you would think, well, hey, you're eventually going to start your larger term continuation up through the profile, right? Eventually targeting about 4064 at the value area high. But you do want to be aware that you have a high volume node at 2611 and another honorable high volume node at about 3593. That's what I would look for. Other than that, I mean, like if I were looking for something to knock this down, I would simply just be pulling this fib, right? You're above that. And again, 2-day money flow crossover into the green. I mean, writing's on the wall there, guys, right? Any pullbacks are going to be looked at as lackluster as long as you stay within the profile at the end of the day. Even if you get a bigger pullback here at the value area low, right? As long as you stay in here, going to be looking up towards these next targets. Very simply put. That's what I'm looking at on AVAX. Locally, again, if you take a look at the daily here, daily red dot looking to print, but look at your money flow. Again, this would indicate ebbs and flows to the downside, right? But continuations of the trend to the upside. Taking a look at the 2-day again, right? You can see here, 2-day money flow crossover. As you get above this high volume node, right? You get a pullback, but the trend continues up. 2-day money flow indicated that, right? We're in a very similar situation at the bottom of the profile. Undervalued price, overvalued price. This is where you're looking. I mean, in this case, probably just to buy on spot, not financial advice. But, this is undervalued, right? You're like, based off your previous price action on this massive range, right? This is undervalued. Back in the range, guys. Not too shabby. Not too shabby. That's what I'd be looking at on AVAX or AVOX, as some people like to say. But yeah, drop those altcoins in the Q&A, guys, and let me know what you guys want to see. Let's see. Shout out to Valerio. Says, we will be the ones who made it. If you are here, you're lucky. Shout out to Valerio. Yeah. I mean, listen, there's a reason. There's a reason why we do not sell the bottoms. This is why I always try to come up here. Like, listen, guys, I really try to come up here and be as transparent as possible, right? Like, I could just put moonshots on the chart constantly to try to get more clicks. But at the end of the day, right, I have to be honest about what the charts say. And, like, even here, right, I could have fed off all that fear. Oh, my God, bear market's here, right? But based off the charts, there's a reason why I try to remain strong in my stance on live stream to help the new people. I know how scary these drops can be. But, again, understanding the longer-term context on the chart, I got to stick with my stance here, for the higher high to come in, which we've obviously seen. And, there's a reason why I try not to scare people when we get these drops to the downside. And not only do we talk about it down here, but we even talk about the anticipation of aggressive drops down. We knew we had a lot of liquidity here. We knew that we had a key level of support here that we could very likely put a higher low in before breaking structure to the upside. And yeah, this is why, we try to stop people from panicking at the wrong times. And I also try to stop people from buying at all-time highs. But we try our best. Moonwell, let's see. Shout out to Jason Casper's chicken. Shout out to Jason Casper. Moonwell, yeah, we can take a look at Moonwell. How could we ignore that one? Let's see here. Let's take a look at Moonwell here. All right, so we have not looked at this in, I can't even tell you how long. I guess when we were back up here in 2024. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of these ranges. They are now irrelevant. Or not irrelevant, but less relevant than they were before. I would probably just be pulling this as a larger profile at this point. Whoops. So I would be looking at this as a major profile to the upside on Moonwell. And let me just see this real quick. All right, so you're starting to get a little bit of a breakout of this kind of wonked out volume profile. Let me pull up the VPVR real quick. Yeah, I mean, same thing, right? 2-day money, all this stuff all looks the same on the altcoins, right? 2-day money flow crossover, if not already happening, is getting very close to happening on many things. Let's pull that volume profile. So, yeah, I mean, I would say you do have a pretty decent fall off in volume here. Obviously, we had a quick move down, right? And as you can see, as soon as you start breaking above that level, you start to get the quick move up. You do have a high volume node here. I say once you crack this high, right, you do have a little bit of a fall off in volume, which leads you directly up to the not only the value area high, but really the high volume node sits on the point of control. So what I would do here is I would look at this POC, value area low, as obviously a major target to the upside, but also pretty good resistance, right? Because you have the high volume node, you have the low volume node leading up to it. So if we start cracking this high, you might start to get cooking pretty quickly here. And then once you're able to flip on top of that POC, you could see another pretty decent fall off in volume to your next high volume node sitting at about 0.082. So once you get on top of that POC, you might be able to get a full quick fill of that volume profile into the value area high. You can even see here, fast move down will oftentimes lead to a fast move up through that low volume gap. High volume node on the POC value area low indicates resistance. And then if you broke down below this, right, you might be able to get another fast move down, right? These volume, as long as that gap is still there. But yeah, I mean, I would say like this high right here at about 0.044 is very key to break. Once you break that, you might be able to fly through that low volume gap into your big key target. This key target sits between 0.05 and 0.05 and 6 cents. And yeah, I mean, let's see. Did you get let me pull some fibs here real quick. Yeah, I mean, like, even at this point, we weren't looking at Moonwell at this point, but if we were looking here, like, what would be the key level you would want to look at for the higher low? First, you would have the golden pocket, and then underneath that, you would simply have the value 786, which is confluent with the value area low, right? So if you're looking for a high, a low, a high, a higher low, and a higher high, potentially anticipating the break of structure here, right? That would be what you would look for the bounce on, right? You have your low, high, higher low, and then look for that break of structure to the upside. Targeting right there. That's what I would look at on Moonwell. 2-day money flow looks good. 3-day money flow coming up as well. And again, you have your, you got the VWAP flip here on the daily. You have the red dot print with the immediate green dot. So yeah, I mean, that's honestly bullish. 2-day VWAP, like I guess for next big pullback, I would watch that 2-day red dot printing. But again, with money flow, it would be looked at as lackluster retracements for higher lows and higher highs. That's what I'd look for on Moonwell. So there we go. Shout out to Jedi Skirk. Says smash that like button. Let's go. Shout out to Jedi Skirk. Skirk over and smash that like button. Let's see. Yo, shout out to Eshan said, no, Frankie, you don't understand how scary it is when it dumps. You're so confident in your TA. You just know it's going to bounce. Shout out to Eshan. Yeah. And listen, that is something that develops over time, right? Like, and I'll be honest, right? Like I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I'm impervious to emotion. I am very, very open about this. On this 75K dump, right? We obviously had many, many reasons to look for the bounce there. We were looking at this in the premium Discord all the way back in February, anticipating a drop down to that level with specific confirmations for the bounce back up, and we got those exact confirmations to print. But when you're sitting down here, I'm not going to lie, guys, especially coming up here every single day and going live in front of everybody, I get a good read on what the sentiment is out there, and this was the most bearish sentiment in a long time that we've had down here. And I'm not going to lie, right? Like, sometimes I'm sitting here and I'm like, oh, man, like, because as a trader, as someone who looks at the charts and understands, like, the reason I like the charts, guys, is because it removes the emotion, right? If you're just trading based off of, like, the sentiment of the market, this is how people get into crypto too late, and they start buying tops. They see the news going crazy about crypto, right? Bitcoin's in the news. It gets in the mainstream media, and, like, those people who come in based off of that are typically too late, right? Or at least coming in towards the end. They think it's just starting. They make a little bit of money, and then they round trip. But the reason I like the charts is because it helps you mute out those emotions. And it's a skill to develop in itself, right? Like, people are super bearish down here. And, I'm sitting here and I'm like, I don't know, man, like 786 retracement, we got bull divs, all this stuff. And, although I always do stick to the TA and I say the higher probability is to see the new all-time high, I'm not going to lie. I totally feel like, oh my God, like, am I the only person? Like, am I crazy? Are people seeing stuff that I'm not seeing? And it does get a little bit, it is still scary, right? But, it's very important to understand that, like, I don't think trading is as much about removing the emotions. I think as humans, as emotional creatures, it's very hard to get rid of that totally. I think it's almost impossible. You just have to learn how to only react and make movements and trade or invest or buy or sell based off the TA and not the emotion. So I definitely feel the emotions here, right? Like, I wasn't worried about my bags as my average entry is between 20 and 21K, right? So this doesn't bother me as far as my own investment. But, coming up here and saying what I think is going to happen next, like that bearish sentiment really does kind of test me. I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, dang, like if I'm wrong about this, everyone's super bearish. It's just going to look like I was the only idiot looking for it to go up. But again, like the TA will play out more often than it won't. So it's definitely a skill to learn. Shout out to Eshan. And it does take time, bro. It does take time. And the emotion never goes away. I do still feel it. All right, let's see. Shout out to Nat Singer. Shout out to you, bro. It says, where the sauce, baby? Shout out to Nat. Welcome in, bro. Shout out to Brillo. Yeah, shout out to Brillo. Said, I'm going to go back to those stream and see what the vibe was like here. I was feeling pretty bearish, though. I did buy and consolidate a lot of my portfolio at the time. Shout out to Brillo. Like, scared and buying is the thing. That's you exercising your muscle of feeling the emotion, but doing what the chart says. I love that. Shout out to Brillo. When it's scary, you feel dumb. Then it's okay. Then it's okay and right. We learned that from our goat, Frankie. Shout out to Pose. Yeah, it's like when you buy a bottom, right? Like if you were buying this bottom, like anytime I buy, when I bought down here, I felt like a moron, right? The sentiment's super bearish. Oh my God, we're going to 8K, we're going to 3K. All I'm seeing here is weekly bullish divergences, obviously very bullish signals for a bottom to come in. And, I started buying, I was dollar cost averaging here. I did not just snipe the bottom. It's very hard to do that. But at the end of the day, right, like I'm buying, I'm like, oh my God, I'm buying the top here. This thing's going to go to zero. Oh, I'm a genius. Oh my God, this is so scary, right? But I have a specific strategy that I followed here based off the weekly money flow. I buy when weekly money flows in the red, and then I hold it until weekly money flow comes into the green. And then once we see that weekly money flow cross back into the red, very likely that will be the next bear market. It has happened every other cycle here. Weekly money flow in the red, buy the dip, massive bull market. Weekly money flow in the red, buy the dip, massive bull market, right? So yeah, but I felt like an idiot here. I'm like, oh my God, everyone's saying it's going down, the exchanges, all this bearish news. I'm an idiot, and then you don't wind up looking like a genius until it's already pumped, right? So there you go. But anyway, let's continue on here. Let me check. All right, so we did Ondo, AVAX, INJ. Let's check a look at INJ, or INJ, as some people like to call it. All right, let's see here. Bada boom, bada bing. All right, so let me pull it up on the alt template. Okay, so Get rid of the VPVR here. INJ. Let me grab this fib real quick. So, yeah, I mean, here you are, right? Again, just showing the importance of the Fibonacci retracements, right? Saying, hey, if you're going to put in a higher low to potentially come up and put in a higher high breaking structure to the upside, this was the 786 to hold. You had the golden pocket, but you broke through it. You look to hold the 786. You have your low. It's pulled from this higher low, right? So you have a high, higher low, higher high, right? This is pretty much what I would be expecting here. You do have resistance at the value area high, so just be aware of that. That does sit at about 1458. But again, looking at the 2-day money flow, crossed over into the green. Any pullback, right, has to be looked at as a retracement, higher lows and higher highs for the overall continuation of the trend. I can't promise it's going to look exactly like this, but that is the overall anticipation, right? So likely going to be very choppy. But again, I would say money flow looks healthy. 2-day VWAP and red dot would be the next thing I would look for a significant retracement. But we're holding that 786. I will take this off. Actually, I'll leave this on the chart for now. I'll get rid of the blue box. You're above the point of control. The one thing I will say here on a few things, we have approached from the high of the range, right? So technically, like when you get back into the range, you're looking to go from the high to the POC next. And then once you lose that POC, right, in this case, it was the 786. You lose that 786, value area low is likely. We have not filled this range in full, but if we can continue, actually, let me pull this full fib here real quick. Did we hit that golden pocket? I would not think we probably did. Yeah, so like even the full fib, right? You have the golden pocket sitting down here, right? So at the end of the day, even the full fib, low, high, higher, low, right? You could be looking for that higher high. So that's what I'd be looking at here. Watch the key resistance at about 1458. Once we get above there, your goal here is to get above this doorway to higher prices. Sitting. Trying to get this horizontal line, which I cannot select. Come on. All right, well, pretend it says doorway to higher prices here. I can't label it right now, but this level right here, value area low at 1794, be a big level to get above. Even just getting above this, just like resistance here, guys, right? Like, I mean, is this a head and shoulders? Again, I'm not a huge pattern person, but this does look very similar to the kind of wonky, like 4-shouldered head and shoulders that we looked at on Solana. Pull that breakout target here, actually brings you up to this upper range. Again, it won't likely happen in a straight line like this, but, could give you some kind of like a nice little technical target there, right? Longer term. Let me just grab this. Yeah, I mean, it brings you right up to this value area low. So yeah, this is the range I would look at above. Upper range is sitting between $18. POC sits at 2068, value area high at 2714. If we do pull back, right, from the value area high, and again, I would say, looking at this fib, high, low, high, higher low, potential higher high, look to come into that value area low above at about $18. But if we do get a retracement here, like POC is your key level of support, right? As long as you can stay above that POC, you maybe you bing bong around a little bit. Once you lose the POC, maybe you can start looking down towards some lower levels. But right now, I would just be potentially anticipating a breakout here. Maybe some resistance, but eventually get above there, crack that structure of the upside, something like that. So that's what I'd be looking at on INJ or INJ. Let's see. Shout out to Alpha. Thank you for the super chat, bro. Said Floki ripping WTF. Let's take a look at Floki. Oh, she's sending it, baby. She's sending it. But yeah, I'll just cover this real quick. I'm not going to do full analysis here on Floki. I'll just give you some local levels here as we are pumping, baby. And again, does everybody see this? Drop a candle in the chat if you guys have been watching for quite some time and you understand those 2-day money flow crossovers, the entrance into those value area lows, indicating these moves to the upside, especially on Ethereum. Let me know if you guys have been seeing this and you were able to anticipate these moves. We haven't looked at Floki, but just anticipating these moves before they happen by doing this very, very sound technical analysis. But let's take a look here at Floki real quick. I'm going to get rid of this hyper-local fib. So we had the POC here. Let me come on down to a lower time frame. Yeah, it's coming down even lower. It's coming to like a 5-minute. You can see here, you get above the low into the POC, little retest of the POC, and we are just looking to cruise to the upside here. So yeah, I mean, key support just very clearly here at about 12806. Hold that POC. I mean, you go from the low, next target, POC, flip the POC. Eventually, your next target would be to get that full fill of the range. Value area high sitting at 14,14987. 2-day money flow crossover into the green. This is likely to start the moves up on altcoins. right? As we've been talking about. So that's just, a lot of people say like, oh my God, why are we pumping, right? Well, I would just always point you to very similar signals, right? You have the pull from the fib from the low to the high. This would be the area where you'd look for a higher low to form. Breaking this 786 would be the doorway to lower prices, making it likely to crack structure to the downside below this low. But what did we do? We held the higher low, and what did we do? We put in the higher high. Low, high, higher low into that high probability area to get the bounce, indicating you will break structure to the upside. This is the same thing that we've been looking at on so many things. You get to see some of them are actually already playing out. So there you go. Next target here on Floki would be about 14987 at the value area high. And, you know, I could even pull this. Let me actually label this as the local range, right? And then I'll even pull up the macro range to give you a little bit of a local range. And then I will pull this as the larger range. Nice and clean there. So this might be a nice little higher time frame context to look at. Value area low, POC value area high. And there we are, approaching that macro POC. So if you're looking longer term, right, you deviate below the macro volume profile, you get the push up into the value area low, resistance until proven otherwise. And if you get the dump and you want a higher low to break back into the profile finally, this is where you would look. So I would say POC sitting at about 14294 is going to be key. Maybe you get a little turbulence there. Flip it to support. You could start to look for the much bigger target of about 23227. That's what I would look at. You could screenshot these levels to get them on your chart. 2-day money flow would indicate the trend is likely to continue to the upside. So 2-day red dot maybe cools you off. But again, you are going to look for that fulfill the range, assuming everything continues the way that we've been expecting and have been seeing play out. So there you go. Very clear roadmap for Floki there. Let's see. Bada boom. All right, let's check out TRX. All right, so yeah, this was, remember last time we looked at this, this is like super significant rejection zone. So we flip that 786, get the bigger push up. I would be targeting next here on TRX. Weekly MPOC sitting at about 32 cents. This is what I would be looking at. Weekly MPOC, 32 cents. Once you break above that, you could eventually go for this kind of full golden pocket 786 retracement, bringing you back up to about 40 cents, right? 39. You do have the confluence here on the weekly MPOC, so big resistance zone sitting up here between about 39 and 35 cents. Weekly MPOC sitting at about 32 cents. Next target, and then above that, your next major target. You know, and again, this looks very similar, right? 2-day money flow crossover happened all the way back here, indicating any pullback would be lackluster for higher lows and higher highs, continuing to break structure to the upside, right? So kind of right on time there, but check the 3-day real quick. 3-day money flow has been in the green. Check the daily. Daily's been in the green as well. So yeah, these would be the upper targets I would be looking at. Very hard to kind of like pull any legitimate volume profiles on this, just the way the price action is kind of formed there. But yeah, looking pretty, you know, again, major target here. Weekly MPOC at 32 cents. So there you go. That's what I'll look at on Tron. And I think they wanted to know like potential bull market targets. Pull up the weekly here. So yeah, I mean, really what I would look for here is I would just pull my extension levels, right? And if you do break this high here on Tron at about 45 cents, I would look to come up in here between about 55 and 50 cents, right? And then above that, you do have another honorable mention at 60 cents. And then once you break above that, you can start looking at those upper targets. But I would say, you know, once you break that all-time high, this would be the first major zone to look to come into between 50 and 60 cents. So there you go. That's what I would look at on Tron. Let's see. Shout out to Cyrus. Thank you for the super chat, bro. I appreciate you so much. He says, if you have time, would you look at Pengu? Thank you, brother. Yes, we'll take a look at Pengu. We actually checked it out yesterday. It's not too much to update here. But looking at Pengu, I would say, right, same thing. I'm not going to go over this like on every single coin, but obviously you look for the higher low on that golden pocket, right, to break structure to the upside. You wind up getting that to happen, in which case you would target your next major value area, doorway to higher prices here at 2 cents. Flip that value area low. Next target is the point of control. Come on down to a 30-minute time frame. Even if you come lower, very oftentimes you will see the actual interaction here with the value areas, or the value area levels, I should say. And we looked at this yesterday. Resistance, break above it, flip it to support, and you start your journey up to where? Well, take it off the 1 minute now. You look for your journey up to the point of control. You'll actually almost directly hit it, but then you got a little pullback finally, and now we're hitting that little resistance at the POC. So, obviously not impossible to continue to get resistance off the point of control, but overall, right, you're accepted within your profile. The highest probability here would be to get the full rotation from the low to the POC. Eventually, we would look to come up into the value area high, which does sit at about 0.03856. Key levels of support to the downside. I will pull up some NPOCs for you guys. Let's pull up the weekly. So you do have a weekly MPOC sitting right here. Bada boom. Let's check the monthly. Yeah, monthly MPOC is pretty far away. I won't even mark that. You do have a daily MPOC right here. It does look like we may have tried to tap it there, but it is technically naked. So these would be some local levels I would look at. Let me get this off the chart now. And we did have a daily MPOC on the point of control of the range as well. So that, again, adds to that resistance. Let's come on down to the 4-hour. Just pull a fib here real quick from the impulse to the high. So, yeah, I mean, I would say, for the most part, right, like value area low, 786, like this is the biggest, like real level that you want to hold. I don't know if you're going to come all the way back down there, but you do have the golden pocket 786 zone down here. Very important level. Very important level to remain above. If you break it, you could probably look down towards the weekly naked. But even locally here, let me pull from. Yeah, I mean, I would say local support pretty much coming down to it right now, right? You have the golden pocket, and then you have the 786 daily MPOC sitting right here at about 28730. So, yeah, you have support, right? You're just within your range. I would expect a potential continuation through the profile, but you're just getting turbulence on the POC, and these would be the local levels I would look at. Golden pocket sitting at 0.03031. 0.030164. 786 it sits at 0.028777. And then, again, not to give too many levels here, at the end of the day, this next fib zone down here between 27453 and 25354 is going to be that next level. And again, I know these are like impossible to remember. You just rewind the video, write it down, and get them on your chart. But this is what I'd be looking at as support down below. Worst case scenario, getting rid of all these local levels, right? I would just say, just looking at the MPOCs and the value area levels, it's like, well, hey, maybe you get support on the daily MPOC. You'll lose that. I'd be looking down towards the value area low, which both have confluence at both of those zones. So that's what I would look at on Pengu, right? With a potential target up at about 0.0386563. Continue up, you're at your major resistance or major retracement levels. Break above that 786. The doorway to new all-time highs, in my opinion, would be about 0.056, right? Get above this, I'm looking into the extension levels. So there you go. Pango, back to life. Back to life. Yeah, talk about this thing like almost going to zero and then just absolutely full recover. So there we go. Let's see. Shout out to Caesar. Says, thanks, Frankie. You're the GOAT. Shout out to Caesar and shout out to the GOATs out there. Let's see. Loop ring. What did we look? Oh, no, we looked at Moonwell before. Those double O's confuse me. Let's take a look at Loop ring real quick. I don't think we have a chart for Loop ring, to be honest with you. All right, so let's see here. Let me just mark out some major high time frame levels. Got a monthly MPOC right here. Got another one right up here. Got another one right up here. Just mark these out real quick. Okay, let's check the weeklies. Got a weekly MPOC right here. And then you got, weekly. So you have a little bit of confluence up in here. So let's see what else we could find. So let me pull this profile real quick. Look at that. Almost perfectly confluent with, actually, let me move this. So, yeah, I would say right now, I mean, you do have some pretty key levels here, to be honest. You do have a monthly MPOC sitting at about 11 cents. Weekly and monthly, I mean, you actually do. Yeah, you have a pretty decent amount of resistance here. But let's see. Doesn't mean you can't break it. But let's see. Value area low, POC, value area high. Let's check the weekly real quick. So you do have a weekly bull div confirmed. It's just not getting a lot of follow through there. But you do have a weekly bull div confirmed. I would say once you flip this monthly MPOC at about 11 cents, I would be looking up towards this major level of resistance, which has a lot of confluence. Pull it from the higher low. Maybe I'll just keep that fib out of there. I would watch this weekly, monthly, 2 weekly MPOCs, monthly MPOC right on the value area low. This would be key resistance sitting between about 15 and 19 cents just about. So if you can work your way up here, flip that monthly and weekly MPOC to support, I would look to come up in here to about, again, between about 16 and 18 cents. Once you get above that, could start to get accepted into the profile and start your bigger move up towards that monthly MPOC at about 31 cents. At that point, contextually, you would be looking at this as, you can look at this as your larger profile. I would even, be inclined to look at this as a local profile as well. POC value area high. So I'm not going to cover this right now. We'll cover it as we come into it. But, higher time frame, you're looking to flip this value area low to start the bigger move up through your macro profile. POC sitting at 39 cents. Flip that to support. You're looking up towards about 79, 80 cents at the value area high, monthly MPOC. So this is going to be key resistance as well. And let me just get rid of these brushes. And then, yeah, I would probably be looking at this profile as well. So, yeah, we'll cross this range when we get there. But right now, your goal is to get up here. Flip it into support, and then we can start looking at the local levels. Obviously, the anticipation there is to continue up through the major profile, right? But, especially if we can get that, what's the 2-day money flow doing here? Yeah, 2-day money flow lagging out a little bit. Hasn't crossed over into the green just yet, so it might be a little early here. But the overall anticipation of that money flow crosses into the green and we get into that profile, we'll be looking to fill that range in full. But along that journey, right, it's likely going to be very turbulent, and that's where we're going to use this other profile to kind of understand where those next local levels of resistance are going to be, right? And we can use this as like a local roadmap on what's going to happen. But macro here, this is what I'll be watching on Loop Ring. So there you go. Let's check the daily. Yeah, daily VWAP coming down, money flow trying to come up. Yeah, just kind of choppy down here. Just still, I think the biggest signal here will be the 2-day money flow crossover into the green, which if it's following along like anything else that we've seen here recently, it's probably getting pretty close. All right, let's see here. Shout out to F and Dollar says, have you ever tried a 1/12th for early entry, or do you stick to 1/16th? Shout out to F and Dollars. I typically just look at the 1/16th strategy. I haven't tested the 1/12th strategy. I'm not saying it doesn't work. I just haven't tested it, so I can't really say. But could be. Maybe I'll check that out. All right, let's see. Somebody said we're dumping. Is it a troll? It is a troll. I don't know if it's a troll. All right, I guess. Yeah, all right, getting a little pullback here. Short may actually be in profit at this point now. Is it? Oh, no, it's still in the red. Hang on one second here. Yeah, just kind of bing-bonging around up here. What is this? 90-minute red dot. Oh, no, it is. Up 357. Not too shabby. There we go. I was going to say, it was this that I saw. I was like, oh, my God, it's red. But, yeah. Getting a little bit of a pullback there. And shout out to anybody from the beginning of the stream. We explained exactly why we were potentially looking for that little pullback, right? Again, it doesn't make me super bearish or anything, but it's like, well, hey, we came into resistance, daily, golden pocket, bearish divergences. And there we go, a little bit of a pullback. So, yeah. Let's see. Gala. Wow, we haven't looked at Gala in quite some time. Oh, Bonk. Let me cover Bonk just because Bonk is obviously getting a pretty aggressive move up here. So let me take a look at Bonk real quick. All right. So, all right. Well, Bonk, where are we at here? 15th. Yeah. I mean, we came up to this value area high yesterday. Played around with it. I mean, there's the breakout, right? You're breaking out of your major range. Let's pull some fibs here real quick. I'm going to pull it from this lower high to the lower low. I mean, there's your 786. You have this would be or would have been your major resistance, right? Once you get above that 786, you're looking to take out this high. So I wouldn't be surprised if you take out that high. I will bring up some like micro levels here. It's going to be a very small volume profile, but this would probably be if you do continue up here on bonk, boom, boom, POC is really at the value area low. So, yeah, I mean, for me personally, right, once you break that 786, I'm looking to crack this structure here, and that would bring you right into your next target, which would be the value area low at 42.70. Flip this to support, you could be on your way to about 52.56. And once you break out of that, I mean, hey, maybe I'll try to find some upper targets in case this thing continues to fly from the high to the low. Whoops. Bring up those extension levels. Yeah, I mean, if you break the all-time high, I would be looking to come up in here. 7083 at the bottom, and then 8998 at the top. 8998 at the top. And then above that, we do have some other extension levels, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But again, just a game of volume profiles here, guys. And you can just see this perfect retest of the point of control. And this is why I say, if we did get the initial breakout, even on Bitcoin or XRP specifically, right, you get the breakout, you get the retracement, you retest the POC before getting the real move. When we look at XRP, right, this would be similar to something like this, then getting the real move. I'm not saying you have to do that, but just to show you kind of like price does like to do that sometimes when you get a big breakout. It will eventually come back and retest either the value area high or the POC of that range. Again, it's not guaranteed, but so and when you pull your fib here, right, let's pull it from the low to the high, right? Where's the level that you do not want to lose? It's that 786 point of control. Once you lose that 786, you look to break structure to the downside to make a new low. But what happens? You come low, high, higher low, right on your 786, higher high, breaking this structure to the upside. So yeah, this is what I would look for on bonk, right? Nice break out of that 786. Look to come up in here. You also have your macro golden pocket. So I would look at this as a zone between the POC and the golden pocket right here, sitting between 3963 and 4244. Flip that to support, looking to come into the value area high 786 zone. Not too bad. Take a look at the 2-day. 2-day money flow crossover into the green. Again, we talked about this weeks ago. Even before the crossovers happened. Like, hey, see that crossover into the green, guys? That's typically where the bigger moves up happen. Bonk, absolutely on a ripper right now. Insane. Look at that. From that 2-day money flow crossover, wick to wick, 241%. Simple signal to look for. All right, let's see here. Yes, we did take a look at XRP. Shout out to 1 Hour Loop. If you loop back to the beginning of the live stream, you will see, I think we looked at Ethereum, Solana, and then XRP. All right, let's see. Yes, bonk it. Shout out to Eugene. Let's get it. But when memes go nuts, we're close to the local high. Be warned. Yeah, shout out to Eugene. It's actually funny when the meme trenches were going crazy. I was yelling at the rooftops, guys, meme coin's going crazy. Oh my God, we could be near a top. Doesn't mean the bear market's coming, right? But it was the right near that local top. All right, let's see. Make sure I didn't miss anything here in chat. Shout out to Matty Q. Shout out to Matty Q. Thank you for the super chat. Matty Q23, because Bitcoin's current all-time high is 123K. Oh, Goku on Sol. I'm probably not going to be able to find a chart on this. Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to find a chart on this. I assume this is a meme coin, a Solana meme coin. Even if I were able to find a chart on this, I don't know how helpful the TA is going to be on something like that. If it is a meme coin, it could be wrong. But just by the looks of it, I would assume it probably is a meme coin. So yeah, if I could find the chart, I would totally look at it for you, brother. But unfortunately, doesn't look like I'm going to be able to really find much. So yeah, I mean, even if I... Yeah, I mean, I can look at this. This is, yeah, this is Wrapped Soul. But if this is the right chart, it actually does have some structure here. But again, if it is a meme coin, just understand it might not be able to, TA might not mean as much. But it actually does look like a pretty, looks like kind of a clean chart, to be honest with you. But I'll just give you some levels here, at least on the Wrapped Solana chart. So I would watch this. I'm going to do this pretty quickly, right? So I'll just give you this volume profile. This is your key doorway to higher prices. That was not what I wanted to do. I won't label it. But this is sitting at 0.0, whatever this number is. I don't want to mess this up for you. You can screenshot this and get these levels on your chart. But this would be your key value area low. Pull this fib from the high to the low. You have your macro fib sitting up here in confluence with the value area high. Bada boom. So I would say, like, even if you're going to go for that macro golden pocket 786, you got to get above this value area low. Once you get accepted into here, POC is the next likely target. Flip that POC, look to go for that full retracement. This 786 is going to be the doorway to higher prices. Once you crack this, I'd be looking for new highs sitting up here. So you can screenshot these to get them on your level, on your chart. I don't want to like butcher these numbers. It's like 1 cent, or not 1 cent, but 0.01. 0.01, 0.02 with a million numbers. I don't want to butcher that. But this is pretty much what I can give you. 2-day money flow crossing over into the green. That is a good sign. It looks very similar to a lot of the other altcoins. Doesn't look bad and doesn't look like a total scam meme coin, at least based off the chart. This chart, if this is even the right thing. Sometimes it gets a little hard to look at these Solana memes. But you also have a volume profile sitting down here. And I'll just mark these off in case you want to take a look at this as well. In case you do get a bigger correction, this volume profile would be what I'm looking at. So shout out to Matty Q. That's what I'd be looking at. So I'll give you a second to screenshot that. And there you go. All right, let's see. Let's continue on here. Bada boom, bada bing. Let's see. Crow. Let's take a look at Crow. All right, so let's take a look. Actually, okay, there we go. We do have a Crow chart. All right, so Crow, we have this weekly MPOC, which is still naked. Point of control down below. This would have to be blue for support, right? So you have your POC, weekly MPOC down below, sitting here between 0.0959 and 0.0912. So, again, you're within your profile here. You got to the low. You went to the You went to the POC. You went back to the low, back to the POC, back below, back above. At the end of the day, once you hold this level of support, next targets to the upside would be, in my opinion, still the same as what we looked at last time, right? Golden pocket, weekly plus monthly MPOC. This level is going to be pretty interesting. It's kind of like confluent with this entire upper zone. But between 12 and almost 14 cents between the golden pocket and then this weekly and monthly point of control, that would be the next major target and resistance level. And then just above that, you have the 786 value area high sitting between about 14 and 15 cents or 14.5 and 15 cents. You could view this as one massive resistance zone. But at the end of the day, once you crack that 786, I would look to come attack these higher prices. And then your line in the sand here for a move into your larger volume profile up here at almost 30 cents is going to be the break of the 786. So if you can crack 20 cents, I would be looking up towards about 30-cent value area low next. And then this gives you the beautiful, again, you go from the low, eventually look for the full fill of the range, and then once you deviate out of here and flip that 786 at 20 cents, that's where I'd look to come up and approach this doorway to higher prices, flip that to support, and then look to come up through the larger profile, right? I'm not going to cover the much higher prices because we're very far away, but these are the levels to pay attention to. So yeah, that's what I would look for on Crow. 2-day money flow crossing over into the green. Yeah, I mean, just still the same thing on all the other altcoins, right? Like this 2-day money flow crossover, pullbacks will be lackluster before continuations up, in my opinion. Those are the key levels to watch, and market cipher B looks the same as everything else. Let's see. We actually took a look at this recently. Obviously, let's pull up the daily real quick, right? Getting the pop out of our volume profile here. And again, right, like looking at our Fibonacci retracements, guys, we give these levels live on stream. I'm never going to tell you, like, you have to bounce here, but I explain these thoughts in full every single day on this live stream, guys. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you have notification bells because sometimes we go live in an emergency. But what are we looking at here to continue the uptrend, guys? You have the low, the high, the higher low, the higher high. As we pulled back here from the value area high, where are you looking to hold a higher low in order to break structure to the upside right here? What are you looking to hold? You are looking to hold that golden pocket retracement first. You lose the golden pocket, you look to hold the 786, but we liked this golden pocket much better because it was confluent with the POC, and more importantly, confluent with your anchored VWAP pulled from the absolute low here from April. So when you're looking for the continuation of that trend, you always want to hold on top of that anchored VWAP, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, and you push right into that golden pocket before getting the break of structure to the upside. We teach it here for free every single weekday, guys, and if you don't want to learn it, we just explain it to you straight up. But next target still sits here, daily and weekly MPOC in confluence with the value area low, sitting at about 103 to 107. Flip that to support. Point of control sits at 118. Flip that, looking up towards about 154. Going to be, probably some kind of a bumpy ride. There is going to be turbulence locally. Value area low is going to be resistance until proven otherwise. But again, your goal here is to get accepted into this profile. Right? We got accepted into this value area low. Next stop was directly into the POC before a pullback, back above the POC. But eventually you look for that full fill of the range into the value area high. You go from the high. Once you get accepted back into your value area high, the next likely place for price to go is the POC. When you lose the POC, you're looking to fill that range and full to the low, which was a beautiful place to get a bounce. We did have the Fibonacci retracement sitting right there, golden pocket confluence. It's kind of sketchy that I knew that was going to be there, but I just remember talking about it. You put that higher low, you put the higher high. If you're looking for another higher low, that is the place to look for it. Here we are. That's what we're looking at. So yeah, watch that value area low. Again, once you impulse out of this range is not going to continue to rotate forever, right? You go from the low to the high, to the high, to the low, low to the high, higher low, breakout. So the next thing to do is to look at this volume profile just like you look at this one. Break above the low, go to the POC. Break above the low, go to the POC. Turbulence, flip the POC, go to the high. Flip the POC, go to the high. I know that's super messy, but that's what we're looking at, right? Held that higher low exactly where we wanted to see it. You did not have to break back down below that anchor VWAP, which is beautiful. So there you go. And again, 2-day money flow crossing over into the green, just about to cross over into the green. Not too shabby, guys. Looking good there. Looking good. So yeah, higher highs, higher lows, and higher highs to be expected. Not guaranteed. But there we go. Let's see. How is the 2-day money flow on virtuals? We could take a look at that. Actually, I have virtuals right on the chart here. So I'm just going to look at this. I'm not going to do the full analysis. We looked at virtuals yesterday. 2-day money flow crossover healthily in the green here. We haven't really gotten the big move up just yet. But, again, put that bounce on that golden pocket daily MPOC. Big level to get above here, right? Like, you have a lot of resistance above. You do have your coming down to a little bit of a lower time frame real quick. You do have your value area low, which is your doorway to higher prices. But you do also have the golden pocket retracement. But again, if this is going to follow along with a lot of other coins breaking their structure, I would say, resistance until proven otherwise. Get inside here. Sure, you have the golden pocket 786, making this 786 at 230, the doorway to eventually continue through the profile. But I would just say, flipping that value area low is always going to be very important. Once you stay above that low, next target is going to be the POC. You just have to be careful around this Fibonacci retracement. And this is the fib from the high to the low. So got to get above the 786, but I would say just based off the context of the market right now, once you flip that value area low, chances of coming up and breaking those levels are pretty high to get sucked up towards that POC, the strongest magnet within the profile. So there you go. Let's see. Shout out to Matty Q, said that was exactly the correct go-to. Thank you, good sir. Shout out to you, man. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate that. I'm glad we were able to actually find the chart. I actually had really low hopes at first, but I was pleasantly surprised by that chart not looking like a scam. So, again, could be a scam. I don't know, but chart didn't look that bad. Shout out to A&D, said 2-day money flow on SEI should be green. Yeah, I mean, listen, Market Cipher, this is why I say, when we look at the money flow, we were looking at this on everything, right, to begin with before we got the crossovers. But yeah, I mean, just looking at this from a very simple perspective, right? Here's your value area, right? It is all a rotation of value, right? Price seeks fair value. Price does not like imbalance, right? It likes to either create value or seek out value. And I would say right now you're testing a very key level of resistance. Break above this POC, guys. This is the doorway, right? You have your value area low. You have your POC. You have your value area high, right? What's happening? Breaking above that value area low. 2-day money flow. Looking to cross over, or is crossing over into the green. Could you get turbulence here? Yes, but once you get above that point of control, what do you think happens next? Right? I know it's never that easy trading it like that, but typically, this is why we like the volume profiles. The laws of the volume profiles, more often than not, do play out. Deviate below the low, back in, flip to support, fulfill the range. Undervalued price. Get back in. Where are you going to get attracted to? Once you break out of this lower range, you're going to get sucked up towards the previous area of balance. right? You have this little range down here. Once you imbalance out, you're going to go right for that previous value. Once you get accepted in here, very high probability that you're going to do the same thing that you've done in the past. 2-day money flow crossover into the green. Last time, as you were pushing around in this profile, what happens? Higher low, higher high into the value area high. 2-day money flow crossover. You know, I don't know if it's going to be the exact same move like that. Maybe you just bing bong around and then send it, but there are many things pointing for this to be the case. Again, no guarantees, right? But that's what I'd be looking at. But with all that being said, guys, we've been going late on these live streams. Let me do one more last check-in on Bitcoin. $18,800, still just kind of bing-bonging around here at that resistance level. But if you just tuned in, scrub back to the beginning of the stream, guys. We covered Bitcoin in full, talked about the trades, showed the trades, still short position or scalp short position, still hovering around about 300 in profit. Long still up about over $2,000. So I am going to hold a portion of that long, and I am going to see kind of how this short position decides to play out. And I am also holding. I don't know if I showed this before. Bada boom. Am I not logged in here? I am still holding my long position, my bigger long position from lower. Oh, this is the wrong account. Maybe I'll show this. Oh no, is it? Yeah, no, this is the wrong account. But still holding the positions here, guys. We are now, I am much more long than I am short, but it did take a little stab here at that scalp short with the premium Discord, as well as the long positions. If you guys want to check out the premium Discord, you can check the link in the description down below. It is not a signals group. I spoon feed you my personal trading setups that I'm looking for, and I actually teach you how to become a self-sufficient trader, so you don't have to be a slave to somebody's TA or somebody's signals, right? If signals worked, it would be too good to be true, right? I would never ever learn TA if signals work. But if you guys want to check it out and level up your trading, check out the premium Discord in the description down below. And with all that being said, guys, I think that's all the time that we got for tonight's live stream. Thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate every single one of you guys. Happy target hit for Ethereum. And hopefully, be careful of any pullbacks. But at the end of the day, guys, it really does seem like we're entering the really exciting phase of this bull market. And just remember, when it gets really exciting, we got a very short window to make a ton of money with these altcoins. And then usually it's wrap it up and go home and wait for the bear market. But that doesn't mean it's over for the CandleMafia, guys. We'll be shorting that thing down to zero when we get into the bear market. But, guys, with all that being said, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate every single one of you guys. Shout out to More Timer. Shout out to Fade and Tradfi. Let's go. Said, not getting my divvies. Great show. Shout out to Fade and Tradfi. Shout out to Raul. Shout out to Nathan, Serrano Estrada. Shout out to the mods. Thank you guys for everything you do. And I will see you here tomorrow, same place, same time, 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on the Frank Candles YouTube channel. That's all I got. Frankie Candles out. Bing bong!
Coach, what's next for me, Joe? I'm gonna get that second bell. Where the is it? They should have had them 2 bells ready. Space short for me.
Yeah. Head up in the clouds, dog, they saying I look stressed. I've been feeling down, pray to God that I'm up next. Remember when she blew me off, that's why I can't text. Now she call me petty, but I swear I can't forget. This ain't a test. Now they saying that I ball like Jerry West. Coming back for what is mine, can't take no less. I said go and take a shot, so I need your best. And stop the threats, don't know what is in me. I don't got time, I'm not giving the energy. Too many people around me, I'm finicky. I do not mess with you, dog, you're not kidding me. You don't got way too close. I've been up at the top now, so they all wait for the landslide. I seen too many people that switched up, whose man's high. Through it all, I stay the same, I swear to God, I can't lie. Been down so damn low that I came up for my life. They talk way too much on the internet, it's not real life. I swear my fam waiting, I can't lose, and I'm still right. Still right, I swear that I'm working, I'm up till like midnight. It's real life, I got a time and I'm coming to get mine. In time, I cannot lose and I'm coming right inside. I'm in my, yeah.
All right. Okay. Don't get too cocky there. Yes, I know you bought ETH much lower. Okay, but don't blow it all. You know what? Actually, spend your ETH. I'll keep my ETH. You literally just found out you run profit. You're already at the mall. Unbelievable. It's gonna go higher. You know. Oh. Okay. All right. So you know now. Okay. All right. Do whatever you want. All right. Bye. Love you. Bye. Oh God. Shout out to Mrs. Candles, guys. Mrs. Candles, I think she's feeling herself. She's up on her ETH, and now she thinks she's like an epic trader. She's been holding her ETH for quite some time. But guys, I'll see you tomorrow, same place, same time. That's all I got. Hasta pasta. Frankie Candles out. Bing bong.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming on my landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like, yeah, you about to see me on demand like, you know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, man, we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't ever going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah, at the top of the class on a roll, ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know, yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah, on the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah, at the top of the class on a roll, ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know, yeah, maxed out, put the